Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you on your Tuesday morning. I am broadcasting live from inside Floyd Stadium, MTSU Media Day. Blue Raiders practicing on the field below us. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Gentlemen, how are we this morning?
Doing well, Jake. It seems like you're doing better than us because you're over there near Donut Den country, man.
We are.
Donut country is a spot, man.
They did bring out some donuts here this morning. I have showed some self-restraint so far, but we'll see. It's a 3-hour show. That may not last very long.
That was a staple for me in college every single morning going to class. And I commuted from Nashville to Murfreesboro every day. I'm like, that is my number one stop in the morning. Then I get my coffee. Then I'm off to class.
There's nothing like a good donut. And I had a bagel before I left this morning, so I did get a little breakfast in. So I'm going to do my best to show some more restraint here, but we'll see how it goes. Again, it's a long show today. We will be joined live by MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro coming up in the 10 a.m. hour. So excited to talk with Chris and talk about the future of MTSU athletics, his spot on the College Football Playoff Committee, and much more. But I don't know if you guys heard, Joe Rexroad requested an hour and a half of Tigers talk today. So I guess that's where we start, right?
It's a must at this point.
It is a big week for my Detroit Tigers. They're taking on the Guardians and the White Sox over the next 6 days. So could end up deciding who wins the AL Central here. So I'm fired up for that, but we won't bore everybody with Tigers talk today. The Titans are practicing out on the West Coast today in Santa Clara, right next to the substation. Joint practices with the 49ers. Exciting that we've gotten here, and first time we get to see the Titans this summer against another team. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, Connor and I spoke on this last night. Now I'm curious to know what they're going to get done out in Santa Clara. Obviously, you have some players that are injured here and there, but especially for the running back front for San Francisco. Yesterday, Christian McCaffrey didn't practice due to tightness. You have Kaleon Black, who still has that injury, and you have Jordan, I'm forgetting his last name. It's drawing a blank, the local product here.
Jordan Mason.
Thank you, Jordan Mason.
James.
Jordan Mason is also a local product, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. I
was going to say we've got lots of Middle Tennessee products. A lot of them end up playing for the 49ers for some reason.
Yeah, which is interesting. So, but I want to know why the running back group is kind of the most hurt in some aspects of the 49ers. And I feel like that kind of messes with the feng shui of practice a little bit.
Yeah, the 49ers, especially on offense, have been dealing with a lot of injuries. We know Ricky Pearsall out for the season. They went out and signed Deebo Samuel, but Mike Evans has been dealing with an injury. Deshaun Stribling has been dealing with an injury. Christian Kirk, George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey didn't practice yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see what that offensive group looks like. It may be a skeleton squad of skill position players for the 49ers today and on Thursday in the preseason game.
Yeah, definitely so. But you know what? It's a positive thing for the Titans fan base because they get to see their team in full action and their team at full health for the most part.
Right. And I think for the Titans, so far, knock on wood, the injury bug hasn't caught them yet. A couple of guys have dealt with a few things. Of course, John Franklin Myers has sat out the last couple of practice with some back tightness. We saw Alec Ayamader go down. Dan Moore left practice. But so far, it's been positive on the injury front. The electrical substation might have something to say about that today. I've said it all week as we've been gearing up for this joint practice. Just fingers crossed everybody stays healthy because, again, that's immediately what everyone's going to point to. Even though I for the most part, agree with John Lynch and Robert Saleh when they've been asked about it, that it's a little overblown. Who knows? Maybe there is something to it, but injuries do happen everywhere, and I think it may just be more bad luck than anything for the 49ers. But you know that if somebody pulls a hamstring or twists an ankle today, substation is going to be all the talk of the town over the next week.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jake, because the substation, if you're next to an EMF, an electromagnetic field, from the research I saw online, it states that, it kind of attacks the soft tissue in your body.
Yeah.
And I think out of the 27 injuries the 49ers had last week, don't quote me. Oh, yeah, quote me on this. Last time I checked, my number's correct. I think 15 of those were soft tissue, maybe around a 13 to 15. So that's a little concerning in my opinion. I think there's a little bit more than just a tinfoil cap. There might be some truth to it.
Maybe, and maybe it's a big cover-up to make sure they don't have to move. But At some point, I think they may have to move just for optics, even if it is a nothing burger, like John Lynch said. Maybe you have to do it just because it's what everybody's thinking. Dustin in Hopkinsville on the text line said San Francisco is clearly back on the seed oils in all caps. Yeah, maybe Robert Saleh, when he left, they decided to go back to the seed oils, and that's what's causing all the injuries.
It's possible, although all the injuries are on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know if it was just a defensive mandatory diet when he was out there. I saw some conspiracy theories about Brandon Ayuk as well, that, maybe he's not playing because of the whole substation situation, but that's definitely a conspiracy theory for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the seed oils, the substation, football is football. There's going to be injuries. We'll see what it looks like today. Again, Titans looking like they'll be pretty full strength out on the West Coast for today's joint practice. The 49ers, not so much, going to be missing a lot of their key players. And it makes sense to play on the safe side this early on in camp to make sure that they're not missing Christian McCaffrey or George Kittle or Mike Evans for a long period of time once the season rolls around. I think the most exciting part of this joint practice, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is just seeing what Cam Ward continues to do. The last couple of practices, I know Connor was out there on Friday night for the joint practice. Connor, you were out there on Sunday. Cam Ward has started to pick things up, and you've seen the development. The last two practices, maybe his best of camp so far. Now you get a different challenge, facing a different defense with a lot of talented players over there. I'm excited to see what he does today.
Yeah, that's a good thing that you're seeing a different challenge for not just Cam Ward, but the entire offense. You can only do so much inter squad work to where you see development. So it's nice that he's going to get a different challenge, albeit maybe it's not the 49ers ones. The injury problems are a concern, but you want to see him get as much work against other teams as possible. And I think it's going to be a test for him. I think it's going to be a test for your wide receiver room, especially Carnell Tate, going up against an NFL team for the first time that's not his own. It's going to be interesting, and I think we're going to learn a lot about this offense this week for sure.
Yeah, you've got Deamador Lenore probably going to be matched up on Carnell Tate most of the day today. Upton Stoughton, the nickel, probably going to get the Wan'Dale Robinson assignment, and both those guys have been really productive in their NFL careers. Stout's a little bit shorter. I know TD's a big Upton Stout fan. So I'm excited to see what those wide receivers can do. You mentioned it, Carnell Tate. It's been a fun week for Carnell Tate. The one-handed grab on Friday night in the stadium, then 3 touchdowns on Sunday, one of which, the Marcus Harris one. I think that just shows you the ability Carnell Tate's going to have in the red zone, which is something the Titans really needed to improve upon after last year, is just finding a way to get the ball in the painted area. And they didn't have enough guys who could score consistently. I think Carnell Tate might be that guy. The way he was able to just go up and over, fight through contact, and still make the play and get his feet down. I think Carnell Tate, yes, going to be a weapon in a lot of areas, but I do think the red zone might be where he's most impactful in his rookie season.
Yeah, this was something I brought up last night as well with Connor. Looking at this wide receiver group and even the tight end group in some cases, maybe including the running backs as well, on paper, this team seems to be like one of the more lethal red zone offenses in all the league on paper. Now, we haven't seen what it is against another team, but if this team is really, really good in the red zone, I mean, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and, that's been one of the focuses for the offense in training camp so far. Robert Saleh, Brian Dable have been preaching. Third down, red zone, 2 minute. The 3 pillars of playing quarterback. And for the Titans last year, third down, they were second worst in the league. Red zone, they were really inconsistent. The 2-minute drill, some of that can be attributed to coaching decisions, especially early on in the season, but they weren't very good in the 2-minute as well. I think those are 3 areas that the Titans desperately need to improve on this year. Cam Ward desperately needs to improve upon. And I think Carnell Tate and Wan'Dale Robinson, those are the 2 guys you brought in to help with that. Those are going to be playmakers on third down. Wan'Dale Robinson, great at moving the sticks. And you've seen what Carnell Tate can do in the red zone period so far. So it's going to be exciting to watch today. Electric, for lack of a better word, out there in San Francisco. It'll get going a little bit after we go off the air, so we won't have any updates for you during the show today, but keep it tuned right here throughout the day on 102.5 The Game. We'll have updates from everything going on in Santa Clara, and of course, we'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow as well to continue to react to the joint practices between the Titans and 49ers. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to chime in. Rick on the text line says, soft tissue sounds innocent, but your organs are soft tissue. What's it doing to these guys' organs? Wow, we're getting even deeper here with the electrical substation.
Look, I don't know the answers to that. I just looked it up on Google and it said it attacks the soft tissue of the muscle. That's all I know.
I mean, maybe that's something that needs to be dug deeper into. Is this having long-term effects, the substation on these 49ers players? Rick also says, I get the feeling Ward is a major upgrade over Sayin for Tate. Yeah, I mean, Sayin playing his first year of college football last year was very good. He was a Heisman finalist, but going to an NFL quarterback in Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick, I would say probably going to be better quarterback play for Carnell Tate this season. 9144 asked, do you guys know when the rivalry jerseys will be revealed? Last year, they did it on the 28th of August. It is the 25th, 2 weeks from today. Is that correct? I believe I saw that somewhere.
You're correct.
Yes, 2 weeks from today. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a teaser for them yet. Like, usually they like to tease these, get people talking about it. We haven't seen anything yet, but yes, 2 weeks from today, August 25th, is when the Titans rivalry uniforms will be revealed. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Lots to get to today. We'll continue talking Titans coming up next. Again, joint practice today in Santa Clara against the 49ers. We'll also talk a lot of college football today. We are at MTSU. Blue Raiders practicing right now, gearing up for the 2026 season. News yesterday that ESPN is possibly pushing for a 20-team playoff. We will dig into that later this hour as well. Off and running on this Tuesday morning. Jake Lyman live from Floyd Stadium here at Middle Tennessee State. Nick Frazier, Connor Newton, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. I am live at Floyd Stadium, MTSU, gearing up for a new football season. Practice going on beneath us. Athletic Director Chris Massaro will join us in the 10 a.m. hour. So excited for that. We're talking Titans as a joint practice is 3 hours away out there on the West Coast. Titans and 49ers, first of 3 joint practices over the next 3 weeks as the Titans get ready for the new season. We talked about Cam Ward, Carnell Tate. They're always going to be the focuses when you talk about the Titans in training camp this year. But something else that I am excited to see, the trenches. I think that it's been probably more promising than you would have expected for the offensive line so far. I don't think that they've been horrible, but you also have to take that with a grain of salt of, you're facing off against the same guys every single day. So it's a new challenge today against the 49ers. I'm specifically interested to see what the Titans offensive line does and if they can hold up against this group for the 49ers.
Yeah, yesterday I heard from Connor that Fernando Carmona was getting a little bit more snaps in that guard position. And, he's a natural left guard or left guard. They put him in a right guard. And I think that's something that's beneficial for this Titans team. And you don't have to keep going to free agency to grab and plug and play and, cover all these Band-Aid holes. I think it's a good thing to have so you don't have to keep going back to the well.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see the young guys step up for this team on the offensive line. I've said this before that if Carmona or Slater or Coogan or 2 of the 3, if they end up being your starting guys by the end of the year, it's great because you probably believe in them that they're going to be the guys heading into next year. And that's a hole that you don't have to worry about this offseason. But they also have to be ready. You've got a second-year quarterback that you're trying to figure out if he's the guy, and you can't just play science experiment and say, let's put Carmona out there and see if he sinks or swims. You've got to make sure you've got the right 5 in front of Cam Ward to give him the best chance to succeed. And I like Carmona as a prospect. I mean, I think he's got more of the guard tackle hybrid than the center guard hybrid that we've seen from a guy like Jackson Slater. So a little bit longer. He's that road grader out there at right guard. He's got a little bit of a mean streak to him. Again, we don't want him stomping on ankles at the NFL level, but you do want to see some grit and some of that. You want a little bit of that in your interior offensive linemen, guys who are going to be tough to play against out there. So I do like Carmona. I wasn't expecting to see him enter this conversation, but Robert Saleh did say that if you're going to have success on the second and third teams, and it seems like Fernando Carmona did, we're going to plug you in on first team and see how you hold up against the top guys on the other side. I don't know, Connor, maybe you were able to glean what Carmona was able to do when he did get those reps, but I do think it's good to see the Titans are exhausting all of their options on the front to try and put the best 5 out there.
I didn't get to see too much of a glaring difference. If there was, you would obviously hear about it, but I actually find it kind of concerning. The fact that you've had this battle at right guard between Slater and Volson, and neither of them have emerged as veterans in this league. So you're turning to a rookie who's never played a real NFL game. I find that a bit concerning because it's something that you absolutely could have addressed in free agency on a better level, and they chose not to. So I'm a bit concerned by it. We'll see. Maybe I'm being the pessimist here, but we'll see. I'm not inspired by it at all right now.
Yeah, I understand that part of it too. Did you see Slater and Volson for 2 weeks and say, man, neither of these guys are going to be that good. Let's see what Carmona can do. And I think if you're at that point, that's when you start looking for Kevin Zeitler's phone number and see if he wants to come back. Because if you're looking at the guys that you have right there, again, you talked about it. You didn't do much in free agency to go and address these positions, center and right guard. And if you're looking at Slater and you're looking at Volson and saying neither of them are living up to expectations, I wouldn't hate the idea of calling up Kevin Zeitler and saying, hey, you got one more year in you because we'd love for you to come back and play next to J.C. Latham again.
Yeah, possibility. And the one thing I do like about the offensive line, I guess you call it air quotes competition, is Robert Saleh has not contradicted himself. He's stayed true from his voice at the very beginning of camp, and that is it's a competition on the offensive line. So if there are some rookies out there like Fernando Carmona that are competing for a starting spot, I think it is a a positive thing for the young rookie, but like to Connor's point, I would see that I can see where there's that concern. And let's not forget, Zach Thomas was signed earlier on this offseason as a backup offensive lineman.
Yeah, the depth behind a lot of these guys is concerning. Now, on the interior, I think you do have some promising depth. I mean, you talk about Carmona and Slater and Coogan. They're all young guys who you think have room to grow. But beyond that, you don't have much at tackle. We've beat that dead horse a few times about what happens if J.C. Latham and Dan Moore go down. So there is a lot of concern on that offensive front. Going to center, which was talked about as a competition, we talked a lot about Andre James heading into camp because he has more starting experience, more playing experience than Austin Schlottman. Does not seem like he's been given many opportunities to fight for that job. What Robert Saleh, Connor, I want to say, said that Schlottman is actually accelerating the growth of the offensive line so far in camp. So I would be pretty stunned if it's anybody other than Austin Schlottman who is starting at center in week 1 against the Jets.
No, it's going to be Schlottman. It always was, if you ask me. I mean, you bring in a guy like that, not that he's this upstart talent, but you bring in a guy with that amount of money to play your center position, the chances are he's probably going to be locked down at that spot. So you've got 4 of your 5 offensive lineman positions filled. It's just a matter of what you want to do at right guard. And if you do what I think they're going to do, is it the right move? I think they go veteran. I think they go Volson at the end of the day. But is that something that you feel good about? If you put a veteran in there, is he playing better than one of your rookies? Which he should. He's a veteran in this league. So we'll see. Offensive line is a big question mark for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, Volson, he has been a starter in this league. He was a 3-year starter in Cincinnati. He missed all of last year, and we've had the conversation before. I'm not an offensive line coach or a scout or something that can tell you exactly what Cordell Volson did when he was in Cincinnati, but we all know what the reputation of those Bengals offensive lines were. They weren't very good, and they got Joe Burrow hurt a lot. And so, again, that may not fall directly on Cordell Volson. I have not watched enough Bengals offensive line film to be able to tell you that. But it should not make anybody feel all that comfortable if they're saying, all right, well, he didn't play last year, and when he did play, he was on a pretty bad offensive line in Cincinnati, but that's the guy who's going to be playing right guard in front of your second-year quarterback. Again, the offensive line, from what I've seen, has held up better than I expected them to, but it's still practice, and today and Thursday, I think, might tell you a lot more about what this group is going to look like, and it's going to be important to see, can they hold up against another defensive line? I don't know how healthy they're going to be. Is Nick Bosa going to be out there? They've got Osa Odigizua as well, who's a really good player, but I don't know if he's going to be out there. He's got a questionable mark next to him on this ESPN depth chart. So we'll see what it looks like, but I do think this week will be important to see what this offensive line looks like.
Yeah, injuries aside for the 49ers, and I've mentioned before, like what work are the Titans going to get done out in San Francisco, regardless of who's out there. I think for the Titans' sake, for the players, it's just good to go against somebody that's not in your own jersey. So I think that honestly kicks another gear, puts them into a different gear to kind of say, hey, we're in football mode now. We're going up against other teams, and they can go about the preseason, because after the 49ers is over with, now the Titans can focus on Chicago and Seattle and then go on to the rest of the season.
Yep. This is the first of 3 really important weeks for the Titans coming up. You've got joint practice and a preseason game, 3 straight weeks, again, as we've talked about, against 3 playoff teams from a year ago out of the NFC. So you're going to be challenged. It'll be a good benchmark to see, because I know Titans fans are getting excited. And I heard Robbie and Joe talking about this on my drive down here this morning of a texter texted into you guys last night, actually, and said, when will you guys let us be excited about this Titans team? And I think it's okay. Right. It's okay to be excited about this team, especially after this past weekend. You're seeing your number 1 overall pick quarterback take big steps forward and look really good on Friday night in the scrimmage again in front of a whole bunch of fans at Nissan Stadium. You're seeing your number 4 overall pick wide receiver make play after play after play. I think it's okay to be excited. But you also have to realize this is a team that's won 6 games over the last 2 years, and it's still only August 11th. You got over a month until games are played. Yes, be excited. This is the time of year to be excited. But also, I think there has to be some reality that seeps in there, that this team still has to go prove it and win real football games before you can think that this team has some big turnaround in the works.
Someone must have not been listening very closely last night, because I was quite literally the one saying you should be excited about how Carnell Tate is playing right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from, but oh well.
I think Titans fans should be excited. Again, the things that can get you excited about your football team, a good young quarterback and an exciting playmaker for him, and your first round picks actually looking like they might pan out. And there's still a long way to go for both Ward and Tate, of course. But yeah, this is the time of year to be excited. I do think that you just need to be a little bit just cautious with your optimism as well, and make sure you know that this is a team that has won 6 games over the past 2 years. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Rick on the text line says, good point. Our O-line and our wide receivers are going to be very interesting how they do this week. I think the one-on-ones are going to be fun. I don't know if they're going to style the one-on-ones the same way Robert Saleh did a week ago, with more of a 7-on-7 look for the wide receivers and DBs. But I am excited to see clips from that, because I know the joint practices, they love to do the one-on-ones. I'm excited to see not only how the wide receivers and DBs stack up, but also in the trenches, the defensive line, who wins those reps.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you brought up the one-on-ones, because I do think we're going to hear a lot of news about the Titans on defense winning a lot of these one-on-ones because of the lack of starters out there for the 49ers. So I'm not calling it false hope or false optimism for this Titans defense. I think it's a good stepping stone for them to build off of. But at the same time, I think we have to keep a realistic eye out there and say, hey, wait a minute, these are not the starters.
Yeah, I think it would be different if Alontae Taylor was winning one-on-one reps against Mike Evans, but I think you also have to understand if he's doing it against Junior Bergen, that's maybe not the same thing as we've seen previously in these joint practices. 615-737-1025. New York Doug and I actually agreeing on something for once. How about that? He says, my bet is the 49ers move practice within a year or two solely for optics, and I think if they did it, it would solely be for that. Day one of probability 101, correlation does not equal causation. That's kind of where I've always stood with it. Like, yeah, it is very strange to see the Niners continuously having so many injuries and the substation, but just because that's happening doesn't necessarily mean that that's the direct cause of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's up in the air. It's a tinfoil hat conversation. I'm just in the camp of there's some realism to that. There's something true to a lot of these conspiracy theories, regardless of if it is a valid conspiracy theory or not.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content, and you can chat with us there. Much more to come. Let's get into some college football coming up next. Big news yesterday that ESPN floating the idea of a 20-team playoff. They called it a 16-team format, but with 4 playing games. So it would be a 20-team format. We'll talk about our thoughts on that. And I just don't understand why college football has been so quick to just bypass the common sense numbers over the last few years. Skipped 8 to get to 12. Now are we skipping 20 to get to 16? We'll talk about it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, next man up. 105 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on Indianapolis at First Horizon Park. First pitch is at 6:35, and you can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. Presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. Jake Lyman live from Floyd Stadium here at MTSU. Practice continuing on. Blue Raiders getting ready for a new season coming up in just under a month. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt back at our studios. Let's talk some college football here. The 20-team playoff idea floated yesterday as leaders across conferences met. ESPN, the rights holder for the college football playoff, put this out there as an idea. A 16-team format is the way they framed it, with 4 play-in games. So 13 would play 20, 14 would play 19, so on and so forth, to get into the 16-team bracket. The Big Ten still opposing this, wanting a 24-team tournament. Nick, what was your initial thoughts when you saw this idea of again, it's called a 16-team format with play-in games, but it's a 20-team playoff for all intents and purposes?
I think the merit of the sport is in its right mind, but I think the number is off. I think the right number for me would be 8 teams, and it's a 12-team playoff where you have 2 play-in games. I think that's the right format. You can include the group of 4 in there if you want to, or group of 6 is whatever you call it. You can include them in there if you want, but I just think that just dilutes the product a tad bit. I mean, we've talked about this countless times through last summer. Connor and I have mentioned this on the weekend huddle in previous months behind us. I mentioned this with Big Joe. They need to go to some form of a NFL-style wild card format with these play-in games, and I'm glad they have finally adopted it or trying to adopt it.
Well, so I guess the point of the play-in games would be to replace the conference championships, which I do understand. If you're going to expand the playoff to a certain point, you probably do need to do away with the conference championship games, which is tough because I know that a lot of teams the SEC, I think a lot of teams go into it saying, hey, if we just steal a couple wins here and there, we can get to Atlanta with a chance to win an SEC title. But in order to win a national championship, you've got to win at least 3 games against the top teams across all of college football. So I understand there would be some pushback on possibly removing conference championship games, but I also get it. If you're making these teams play an extra game where for the SEC and the Big Ten, they're already going to be into the playoff, and all you're doing is adding another game of wear and tear onto their players. You probably do need to get rid of it. So I understand that's why they're adding the play-in games, but I just don't understand why we continue to just skip past the common sense numbers, like the easy format. We were at 4. 4 worked for a long time, and I liked 4. But I also understood that if you went a little bit bigger, it keeps more fan bases invested throughout the entire year. I was good with expansion. But why just skip 8? Like 8's a common sense number for the college football playoff, but you went straight to 12. And now it's like, all right, instead of going 12 to 16, another common sense number, it's a 16-team bracket, and you lead all the way down in 4 rounds. Let's go to 20 or 24. Like I don't get why we continue to just skip the common sense numbers.
I mean, we're going to get to the point where it's a 24-team playoff, Jake. They're teasing at it at this point.
I agree, and I think eventually it probably ends up at 32. Like I think that's where it's headed. I mean, it's never going to get smaller at this point. Once you get to a certain number, it's not going to go back down. The Big Ten continues to push for 24. I think the SEC and ESPN, who I think the SEC and ESPN, their interests are always kind of tied together. The SEC, this was kind of their way of a compromise of we wanted 16, but we'll go to 20 and get rid of conference championship games, and we'll do 20 and have the play-in games. And the Big Ten still doesn't seem to want to budge. They want 24. I think 16 makes sense, but the Big Ten's going to say if you go to 16, you need to get rid of conference championship games. And if you get rid of conference championship games, you need something that you can sell for these TV deals that they've signed. So there's a whole lot that goes into it. Pete Thamel did say yesterday that the CFP management committee call today was mostly procedural and administratively focused. There wasn't much discussion about future formats and just a brief mention about a 20-team format. So again, I think we're a long way away from actually coming to a decision on this, but it did feel like the SEC and ESPN's way of kind of an olive branch there of like, hey, you want 24, we want 16. Here's a 20-team idea, and the Big Ten doesn't seem to want to go for it.
No, and I mean, I can understand why Tony P doesn't want to, compromise for a 20-team. It's because he wants more cracks at the bat. He wants more of his teams in that playoff, and I think it's more of a a power move in his case because the Big Ten's been the top dog the last couple seasons for college football. So if you're going to have the opportunity to say, hey, I have the better conference, we're not going to go to a 20 team. We're going to go to a 24 team. And if you have more Big Ten teams in there over SEC, it just goes to show you that's the more dominant conference.
Well, let's look at what the final, if it went to 20 last year, what would it have looked like last season? Because it was what, 5 SEC teams got in last year and 3 Big Ten teams?
I believe so.
So last year, if it went to 20, you would have gotten for the SEC, Texas would have been in, Vanderbilt would have been in. For the Big Ten, USC and Michigan would have gotten in. So it would have been 5 for the Big Ten and 7 for the SEC. So I think that it makes sense for both of those conferences to want to go big because as we saw in the initial coaches poll, like if you go to 24 teams, 2/3 of those teams are going to be from the SEC and the Big Ten. It's going to basically be the SEC Big Ten Invitational, and you'll add in a few teams here and there from the ACC and the Group of 5 and the Big 12. But I understand for the Big Ten, the way their conference is formatted, they've got 3 or 4 really good teams every year. And then they've got probably 3 other teams that are borderline top 25. If you're letting most of the top 25 in, the Big Ten is going to get a lot more teams in year over year than they would in a 16-team format, where I think the SEC usually has 4 or 5 teams that would get into a 12-team playoff and then a couple other borderline ones. So 16 does benefit, I think, the SEC as it's currently formatted more than the Big Ten.
And also, too, like you mentioned with ESPN and SEC with their, obviously ESPN has the college football playoff rights. So it just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder, like, is there something up their sleeve of like, hey, we're going to probably include more SEC teams because of our contract? And I think there's a little something to that.
Yeah, and we're seeing the rules change year in, year out. I mean, Notre Dame this year, if they're in the top 12, they are automatically in, which last year would have gotten them in, but they were left out as, I believe, the first team out, right? Yeah, right after Miami. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot of conversations that go into this, and whether we go to 16, we go to 20, we go to 24, I think one thing we can all agree on is it's going to keep getting bigger. And you're going to continue to see expansion. I mean, we've already seen expansion in the men's basketball and women's basketball tournaments. I think that it's just a matter of time before this continues to grow. And even if it gets to 16, it's going to go to 20. It's going to go to 24. And I think eventually 32 at some point.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Mike Leach, rest in peace, is right on the button here. I mean, he always said it when he was at Wazoo. It might as well just expand it to 64. Like he was always at that point of like, let's go 24, let's go 32. Why not make it 64? It just feels like that vibe is going to continue with this committee.
Yep. And again, this was something that was a hot topic in the spring and into the summer, and it'll be something that needs to be discussed throughout the year. But it will be a 12-team format this year. So excited for that. I think 12's been good so far. I really don't see a need to change it this quickly, right? Like we've talked about this. 4 got, a decade before they changed it. And I think we saw 4 was good, but there were reasons to change it. I think you need to give 12 a little bit longer to prove whether it's the right format or not. I think we've seen some good things. Last year, Miami, the last team in, goes all the way to the championship game. And I think that shows you that there are more teams outside of the top 4 to 6 that can compete for a national championship. But I think there is a line somewhere, and I don't know exactly where that line is, but I think we're going to find out based on how this goes. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll wrap up the first hour of the show coming up after this, continuing to talk college football and much more. Again, the Titans are out on the West Coast today for joint practices with the 49ers. We'll talk about that as well later on. That's coming up around noon. So a little after we get off the air should be when we start to get some news from out there in Santa Clara. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newton, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. Glad to have you with us on your Tuesday morning. Out here at MTSU practice at Floyd Stadium today, gearing up for a new college football season. We are getting close. I mean, it's 3 Saturdays away from week 1, 2 weeks from this Saturday. We are almost there. We inch closer every day.
18 days, Jake. 18 more days.
Yeah, until week 0, which again, we've had the conversation. Does football season really start in week 0?
No, but it's kind of morphed into it, though.
It's the appetizer, right? Like, you're not getting the full meal. You're not getting the steak. To use Nick Frazier to bring food into this, like you're not getting the steak. You're not getting the meat and the potatoes, but you're getting like a blooming onion or something, or like mozzarella sticks. Like, it's good, but it's not the full meal.
I was gonna say, you get some nice garlic bread.
Yeah, there you go.
The table, some toasted raviolis with a little bit of some red pepper flakes on top. That's what I'm getting. That's what it sounds like to me for week 0. And then, week 1 rolls around. You get your chicken parm, you get your meatball sub, you get a nice Neapolitan pizza to go with that. I mean, now you're really eating.
All from Nico's.
You got
that's
that
what.
right.
There we go. Yeah, shout out Nico's. Get all of your appetizers and your main courses from Dr. Crane.
Cater all the football season, baby.
So we're excited for college football season. We're going through the possible playoff bracket. Lots going on with college football right now. I mean, the biggest story, of course, is the 5-5 eligibility that was added, and you're seeing lawsuits here and there allowing new players to come back. I saw this morning, I guess, Nick, your Bulldogs are getting a couple of fifth-year players back.
We need it. As Bulldog fan, we need it. I'm very concerned about the Jeff Levy era. I do think he's a really good coach. It's just unfortunate that the recruiting hasn't been top-notch. Yeah, you have Kamario Taylor as your quarterback, but I think the reason why they brought Zach Arnett back in to coach this defense is because if things don't work out and go south very quick, Arnett will be the interim.
Yeah, and the Bulldogs have taken steps forward the last few years, but I think you got to see some significant progress. You got Kamario Taylor there, who Jeff Levy compared to RG3, so we'll see if that lives up to the hype this year. And getting edge rusher Malik Sila, am I pronouncing that right? And safety Jerron Manning are back on campus because of the court ruling. I also saw this morning, did you see this? We've seen college players suing for eligibility. An Oklahoma Little League team has been granted a temporary restraining order to keep playing in the Southwest Region tournament because they had an ineligible player. They were banned, but they sued and got a temporary restraining order to keep playing.
So we're basically seeing the movie Benchwarmers come to life.
Yeah, there you go.
I am 12 with a nice $20 bill and computer paper.
He checks out.
Or you could go to dodgeball where Bernice is taking beaver tranquilizers. Or beaver steroids.
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. I do need to rewatch that. I mean, I am 12. Him with the flask on the mound.
He's got the tequila bottle. I'm like, that is crazy.
He checks out. He's got papers. God, great movie. Yeah, I was stunned when I saw this. I guess they had an ineligible player, and based on the article here from ESPN, I believe the ineligible player who is older than 12 is not going to be allowed to play, but the rest of the team is going to be able to. So they've removed the ineligible player, but they're not punishing the rest of the team, which I think is the right thing to do. These are kids, right? They're 12 years old, chasing a dream, trying to go play in Williamsport. Just because one person lied, or maybe the coaches allowed somebody to play who shouldn't, you shouldn't punish the kids and take away their experience. So I understand that. I just thought that was funny. It's like, man, we've now gotten to the point where we've got 12-year-olds suing for eligibility.
I mean, it just keeps going down and down and down. There's probably some mom or dad in Tulsa, Oklahoma that's is foaming at the mouth hearing this information. Like, we went up against this team. They had 2 home runs, and that kid was the one that caused the issues. We should be at Williamsport, not them.
He had a full beard.
He had a 5 o'clock shadow. What are we doing here?
No, I mean, I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh, did he have like JUCO eligibility and they thought that he could play? I don't know. But the statement from the Tulsa League said the winner of the game will be determined on the field where it should be decided. The Little League World Series starts in just about a week out there in Williamsport. So we'll see if this Tulsa team's able to make a run after getting their temporary restraining order that allows them to keep playing.
This kid was enrolled into high school during the summer. He was at summer practices. I mean, these are what these parents are probably yelling at in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, the list goes on and on, but yeah, hopefully so. I mean, my best friend's little brother played at Williamsport, I think 2 years, definitely 1 year. And he said it was a time of his life. So those kids are definitely enjoying life and, extending their summer up until the end of August.
Yeah, I mean, the Little League World Series is one of the cool experiences towards the end of summer that you get to watch. And, I think it runs on a little too long. It's like for 2 straight weeks, all you can find on ESPN is Little League baseball. But like the Little League Classic that they do now, bringing the major league teams out there and letting them spend the day with the Little Leaguers and play a game, like I think that's awesome. They've done a really nice job with that. So I am glad to see, like, all jokes aside about suing for eligibility, I'm glad that they did not punish the rest of the kids just because of either an adult making a decision to try and sneak this player onto the team or parents or the kid or whatever it was. You shouldn't punish all the kids who have worked hard to get there.
Absolutely. And that's the big issue in today's day and time. You were talking about the MLB players being with the kids. Those are core memories kids are trying to, really remember and enjoy. I feel like the world's gone a little bit too corporate with professional sports and even college sports. I think that should be a little bit more accessible for these kids that are 12, 13 years old.
Right. 100%. So that was a little bit off topic there with the little, but I was like, we're talking about suing for eligibility. I thought that one tied in nicely. College football is about 3 weeks today. I did see an article about from Adam Rittenberg on ESPN yesterday, insider intel on college football's top quarterbacks. And this doesn't include either of the local guys, right? Like, it's too early to know anything on Faison Brandon or Jared Curtis that wouldn't be in their high school scouting report. But I did find the Arch Manning excerpt interesting. A coach and 2 anonymous coaches were asked about Arch Manning. Said he's handled this situation better than anybody could possibly do. The expectations aren't fair. So personally, I hope he has a great year, but has an off game against us. Another SEC defensive coordinator said he can absolutely rip it, velocity and accuracy. He got a little bit out of whack and made some mistakes, and then people were really defending him. It's going to be really easy this year because you've got Cam Coleman and Ryan Wingo. You can't double both of them. So I think you see that, yes, Arch Manning has talent, and I think coaches recognize that, but the expectations that were placed on that guy from the very beginning were probably a little bit unfair. But you now look at it and say they've loaded up in front of him. He's got a great offensive line. He's got 2 of the best weapons in the SEC around him. At some point, you've got to prove that you are the 5-star that you were projected to be, the number 1 overall pick that you've been projected to be. And when you've got the talent that you have around him, this is the year that he's got to go and prove it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The Manning last name is like saying the Kardashians on ETV or whatever you call it. Like that's what they are. The Mannings are everything in football, and it's unfortunate for this kid that who is been through the ringer. Obviously, his dad was not one of the big quarterbacks of the family, but you still carry on that legacy, and there's a lot of weight on that name. So hopefully he can kind of help develop. And you mentioned Cam Coleman. I don't know if you saw that one-handed catch in practice the other day. He is going to be a big problem on that Texas offense.
Yeah, I mean, they already had a lot of talent on that Texas team last year, and you add Cam Coleman, who was the best wide receiver in the transfer portal. I mean, I think you can obviously say Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in college football. I think Malachi Toney should be in that conversation too. But when you talk about guys who actually went into the portal, there wasn't any other weapon that you could have gone out that would have been much better than Cam Coleman.
Not one bit, no. And to the whole Arch point, even it's kind of leaked down into high school with Marshall Manning over at Baylor. The kid's only in the freshman in the 9th grade, and he's already talking to big old reporters about how he's going to be developing, whatever. I just think that that's just the name. It's the territory of the sport, and it's what we're going to see on the horizon.
Yeah, that name Manning, it's going to open a lot of doors for you, right? Like, it's going to get people talking about you. Teams are going to want you because that builds hype. Oh, we got Peyton Manning's nephew or Peyton Manning's son. Like, that's going to excite the fan base, but it also comes with great power comes great responsibility. It comes with a lot of expectations. And I do think that with Arch Manning, people wanted to take a victory lap when he wasn't very good early last season. He really did a nice job to bounce back late in the season. But this is the year. As the defensive coordinator in this article said, you can't double both Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman. He's got some of the best weapons. He's got one of the best left tackles in college football. It's put up or shut up time for Arch Manning to prove that he can be a high first round NFL draft pick. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone and text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Again, I am live at Floyd Stadium. MTSU practice wrapped up. We will be joined in the second hour at some point by Athletic Director Chris Massaro. So excited for that. Get to talk with him. We'll also talk plenty of Titans throughout the rest of the show as they are out on the West Coast for a joint practice with the 49ers. Second hour coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newton, next man up. 1-2-5 the game. The game, second hour on this Tuesday, live from Floyd Stadium here at MTSU. Blue Raiders getting ready for a new season. Jake Lyman with you here. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Guys, we have a very special guest with us to start off the second hour. Big Joe Dubin.
What's going on, man?
The analyst for the Blue Raider Network.
Yeah.
Nick, I don't know if you've met him before, but if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, Joe, my name is Nick. Nice to meet you. They call me Dr. Crane around the office, but
I don't know who came up with that one. But.
I think I've caught your show a few times. Big fan of it. Love everything you guys do. Dr. Crane, right?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words.
Thanks.
Big Joe out here getting ready for a new season. Blue Raiders coming off a 3-9 year, but I was watching practice today. I mean, some big plays for the offense. You can see the size of the team. I think there's been some physical development for this squad.
Yeah.
What are you excited for most heading into the 2026 year?
Well, I just did a lot of Blue Raider Insider with Chip Walters, who I love. We just kind of did a 2-hour show, and it's a lot to tell from practice, right? I mean, It's good. But the guy that was just sitting over here by the name of Roman Gagliano, number 16, the quarterback. Let me tell you something. And I drive Chip Walters crazy, and I drive Chase crazy, and I drive Dr. Crane crazy. I like deep balls, right? I like the ball down the field. I like pushing it. And Roman Gagliano, when things break down, he's like a raw Brett Favre. He's just going to throw the ball. He might get interception, but the next play is going to right back at it. But the guys love it. And at Western Kentucky came in, and it was like that the second half. I mean, Roman just commanded the offense.
Yeah.
They won a couple big games down the stretch. But I'm telling you, the confidence that young man has, he's got a couple good receivers. You could keep him upright. You're winning some ball games this year.
Yeah, and you got to see him, like you said, last year as a freshman stepping in relief duty. I don't think he expected to play much with a guy like Nick Vattiato in front of him, but you got to see some of that raw potential, and now with a year of development, you expect to see some big things from him this year.
Yeah, and that's his team, and I love the name. Roman's Empire. We're going to use throughout the year and everything, but he's just a good dude, man. And the guys rally around him. The coaches love him. He holds these guys accountable. He's tall. He's big. He's strong. He's walking behind you right now. I mean, so that's what you want from a quarterback. Yeah, it's funny that in Conference USA, every team has a really dynamic, different quarterback. One team's got a quarterback that's 5'10", 180 pounds. You can't stop him. Liberty's got a guy 6'5", 240. It's like he should be a tight end. It's all different in the league. It's really a fun league to watch. And now we got that guy with his receivers. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I think we've seen it across all of college football. I mean, Indiana is the biggest example of it, about how quick things can turn around. It's one good transfer class, one good offseason. You can get things moving in the right direction really quickly. And I think that's the hope this year for the Blue Raiders, is that, maybe a disappointing season last year, but with a quarterback like that and some transfers coming in, you could really get things going.
I know that. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you.
Right.
And so you can't now, Derek Mason can't go in the locker room and say, remember last year when Western took us to the wire? Well, 57 guys weren't here. Right. So they don't know, and they don't really care. Right. And it's like, we just have to go out and play games and win games and do our best. But we all talked to a lot of coaches today, and like every coach is going to tell you this during the camp, and you love to hear it. It's like accountability. Everybody's all in. We love what we see. But it all comes down to that first game. Last year, Austin Peay came down here. We all know, kicked Middle's butt left and right. And that kind of dictated the season. So now you got Murray State coming in here. Murray State's a decent football team, but you can't let what happened last year happen this year. That's your Super Bowl. You win that game, and you go forward with a lot of confidence, and you feel good about yourself, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, I do think that game one, it's not everything, but it tells you a lot about the way your season's going to go. We see it across all sports. I mean, you get off to a good start, you get that good feeling in the locker room. That can go a long way, and I think that game right here at Floyd Stadium against Murray State is going to be really important for this team.
Well, look at Vandy's first game.
Yeah, Austin Peay.
Look at Tennessee's first game.
Furman.
Yeah, right? So, and I tell people, I like games like this because evidently, what's going to happen in the game, they're going to score a touchdown, and the second team long snapper is going to be needs to be in the game, and he's drinking water, right? So you have to get how many times have you called a game on extra point, you see the right guard sprinting out there, right? With 8 seconds. I mean, so the first game you win, but you take care of all that, get guys ready to go. That's why 3 years ago they played Alabama first game, right? Yeah. And they did well, and it was 10-7 in the second quarter, and Middle misses a field goal late in the second quarter.
Right.
You make that field goal, you're tied at 10 going the half. You miss the field goal, Alabama takes it over, and then you're like, a lot of confidence. A lot of guys beat up after that.
Yeah, and that's one of those things in those games where there's so little room for error. It's like you give Alabama an inch, they're going to take a mile and it can run away from you. But you look at the schedule to start for Middle Tennessee State. You get Murray State here at home. Then you get a road trip to Marshall, who Marshall kind of an up and down.
Lost
program.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Marshall's opening game is at Penn State.
Oh, wow.
So if you're the Blue Raider fan, you're like, all right, I like this.
Right. Maybe a little letdown game there in week 2.
Yeah, because Matt Campbell for Penn State, that he wants to win that first game.
Yes, he does.
He might beat Marshall 80-0.
Yeah, that would not go over well, I think, there in Happy Valley.
Right.
After you fire James Franklin for not winning the big game. It's
Yes.
like, well, you would have beaten Marshall in week 1.
Right, you would have, yeah.
And then you get Nevada in week 3, which that was a great game on the road in Reno last
right.
year. So a return trip here to Murfreesboro. That non-conference schedule, I think it's an opportunity to build some confidence for this team heading into the Conference USA.
Well, I mean, all 3 of those games were winnable. They
Right.
go to Jacksonville State. They lost a lot of people. And then you go attack Kansas, and then you start conference play after that. It's the conference games that really, really matter. We know this, but the non-conference where you kind of build the depth, the camaraderie, the accountability, the fun, and all that.
Yeah.
So, but it all goes back to one game, Murray State. That's it. That's all you should be concerned about right now is Murray State.
Dr. Crane and Connor, I know you guys are proud Blue Raider alums. You got any questions for Big Joe about the upcoming year?
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Dubin, host of the Chase and Big Joe show, is on with us. Wow, what an honor.
Sure.
No, just looking at this MTSU roster, you mentioned Roman Gagliano, but like the defensive side of the ball, there's only about 3 or 4 transfers that, the one and only Derek Mason has gone to grab. It seems like there are a lot of returners on that defensive side of the ball.
Well, it's good, but, sometimes, I mean, the offenses in the Conference USA, man, some of them are very dynamic. Some of them are go, 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 but you got to be able to stop them, and that's been the problem the last 2 years is you haven't been really stop these defenses or the offenses in Conference USA. So, look, they lost their leader, Parker Hughes, got drafted by the Jags, which, by the way, I did not know this till today. Parker Hughes was the only Conference USA player to get drafted.
Really?
Yep, 7th round to the Jags. So you lose your heartbeat. Your captain on defense. You got to replace him, step up. If the defense can just be average this year, this football team can win 7 or 8 games. I mean, if they've just averaged, they've not been really good the last couple of years, but, they've had a lot of attrition. A lot of guys have left, have gone on to D1, got drafted in the NFL. So it's part of the game now. But if you can bring guys in here that compete, play hard, and let offense roll, I mean, you got something special here.
Yeah, and you also have just a bunch of upperclassmen at the wide receiver portion of this offense. Marcus Allen being a graduate transfer from the one and only Eastern Michigan. I think that's a beneficial thing for a quarterback like Roman Gagliano, who's only a sophomore. And also, too, just solidifying that left side of the line with Trip Reese and Adrian Crespin.
Well, Trip Reese is 6'7", 350. I mean, he walks into a room, it's a solar eclipse. I mean, he's massive. But here's the best part. He's quick, right? You don't see – I mean, they say he completes these box jumps. So he's athletic and he's good. You keep your quarterback upright, you win ball games. You talk any quarterback at any level, it's like, how'd it go today? Well, I was tough, had pressure all day. You give him time to throw a quarterback and carve you apart. And I think Roman Gagliano can do that. Thanks, Nick, for the question.
Yeah, appreciate
You're
it.
very
Nick.
welcome. Yeah, you're very welcome.
Connor, you got anything back there?
Yeah, it is funny talking about guys I went to class with like 6 months ago. But anyways,
That's true. Yeah.
You mentioned Roman Gagliano and how he's kind of coming into his own as a quarterback. How much do you think playmakers like Najee Cox coming back, Jakail Middlebrook at your running back position, how much of an impact do you think playmakers like that can play on his season?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think, look, here's the deal now. You don't have time to build years with guys. You have about 4 to 5 months to really build that. You can work out together. You can throw on the side of the field together, but practice time is invaluable. And some of these guys, you get spring ball with them, but now you get fall camp. If you can get on the same page quickly and early and have your guy, that one guy or that 1 or 2 guys for a quarterback, it's really well. It's any team going on. I'm telling you, the way Roman Gagliano throws the ball down the field with depth, with accuracy, and short passes, he just fires that ball in there. If there's a way not to show MTSU games on football so other schools don't see him, I would love it because I'm telling you, he's that good of a quarterback. He's got that much potential of a quarterback that if another school out there is looking like, I like that guy, they're going to come after him. I firmly believe he's one of the best pure throwers I've ever seen, and he's a giant dude. and he's smart.
He made a great throw in practice earlier that I was like, wow, man, who threw that one? I saw 16. I was like, all right,
right?
Yeah, they might have somebody.
Yeah,
there.
so that's the thing is that, but look, you got him this year. You worry about this year. You don't worry about 27 or 28. You worry about the 12 games on the schedule, including which game, Jake?
Murray State.
The Murray State game.
Week 1.
That's all that matters.
Joe, before we let you go here, a little teaser for your show coming up at noon. Titans practice out in Santa Clara. What are you looking forward to the most?
I want to see – it's weird because I don't know how many 49ers are going to practice.
Right. We were going through their skill position players. They might be missing 4 wide receivers, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. It might be all backups out there for the most part on offense.
Right. So if you're Jeffrey Simmons, just whip all their ass. I mean, just you take them all down. Right. So I want to see complete domination on the defensive line. That's what I want. That's your strong suit.
Yeah.
And Robert Saleh, he loves Shanahan. He loves San Francisco, but he would love to see his front 4, because now it's a 4-3, dominate the 49ers today.
Yeah, I would say there's not as many bad feelings with the 49ers as there are with the Jets, but I would say similar
right.
feeling of he wants to go and beat up on his former team today.
Yeah, and not only that too, but at some point, I mean, if you're the Niners, you got a lot of guys. I mean, I'm keeping guys out. I mean, you got, 24, 25 guys?
It's crazy. I mean, there was talk about whether they would even be able to do the practice today. So we will see. It seems to be on coming up at noon.
So we'll see. And I like Saleh because he's honest. If practice isn't good, he's going to tell you.
Right.
If practice is great, he's going to tell you. So we'll get an honest assessment of his football team by Robert Saleh, who I'm a huge fan of. Huge fan.
And make sure you stay tuned for the Chase and Big Joe show at noon. They'll
There you
have
go,
all
baby.
your reaction to everything going on out there in Santa Clara. Big Joe, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you, Bubba.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newton, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman live with you from Floyd Stadium down here at MTSU. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt back at our studios, and we are now thrilled to be joined by MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro. Chris, thanks so much for taking some time, and thanks for having us down here today.
Man, we so appreciate you guys being here. It's great to have you here. Thank you.
We're excited for a new season. I'm sure for you, this is a great time of year, gearing up for a new athletic year for football and, of course, all the other fall sports.
Yeah, it's the best time of year for us in athletics. It's like Christmas time. We get to see what's under the tree. We've worked really for 9 months trying to get us to this point. Derek's done a great job trying to rebuild the roster, and all those things that you go through, and then spring ball and summer conditioning and all that. Then just to see it kind of, we're right on the edge of the season. And I know the guys are excited. All of our volleyball and soccer is excited.
Yep.
So there's just that little electricity lightning bolt that goes through your department, at the start of each season.
It's always a fun time of year, and we got to see the team practice. They're looking good, gearing up for that opening game against Murray State. Now, I know that part of college sports these days is building the infrastructure for your student athletes to have success, to make them want to come here. You guys built the $66 million Student Athlete Performance Center behind us right now. What have been the reactions to that now about a year in, and how have the student athletes been able to take advantage of those resources?
Yeah, and I mean, it's been great, and it when you build it, you think, okay, you have these certain expectations, and they were high. And the football piece was kind of obvious to house them in one building, and just the efficiencies with the meeting rooms and the everything the team needs is all in one building. One of the satellite benefits that we've gotten is really with the weight room and the training room on the first floor that's open to all of our student athletes, and they absolutely love it. And so it's really helped all of our sports. So we can truthfully say to a recruit, like, come here, you'll get better. And this weight room is one of the best weight rooms you'll ever be in. And the training room's got all the things you need. Heaven forbid if you get hurt. It's also got recovery. We've got the red light therapy room and those kind of things for quick recoveries that aid you in any sport. And so we got this organization called SAC, it's Student Athletes Advisory Committee. And last fall, it was right around November, and the building had been open like 4 months. And so I asked, and every team's represented, and I asked those athletes, I said, football, you don't have to answer this, but all you other guys, is this building delivering what you hoped? And every one of them said it delivered more.
Wow.
And so that was a little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't have one person say, I wish our sport had some of that stuff, but they really appreciated the weight room and the nutrition station and some of the things that we're doing for all of our athletes.
MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro is with us. Chris, when it comes to just honoring former athletes at the school, the Blue Raider Sports Hall of Fame class of 2026, for it being football season coming up, one of the names being honored, Clint Marks. What has he meant to the entire program and also just the school in general?
Yeah, Clint was a quarterback for us, and he was probably about halfway through his career when I got hired here in 2005. So he was the first quarterback for Chris Massaro, as a Blue Raider. So I've got a special place in my heart for the old left-hander, number 17. And he was a great leader, great quarterback, but also a great person. And he's one of the guys that not only was he contributed on the field, then he wanted a career in sports. And so we hired him, and he worked in our BRAA as a fundraiser for about 5 years afterwards. And then he went into through a donor and he got into pharmaceutical sales and did a lot better. And so, but it was a nice launching pad. So I got to know Clint as a player, then as a colleague. And the other person that kind of similar pattern that's in that Sports Hall of Fame was Whit Turnbow. And Whit he played golf here before I came. But he was an assistant golf coach when I got here. So I got to know him as assistant golf coach. And our head golf coach, Johnny Moore, retired. And it was the easiest decision you could ever make to elevate Whit to the head job. And then he led his team to a Sweet 16. And then he also turned an administrator. And now he's head of Tennessee Golf Foundation. But he was like an associate AD for 4 or 5 years with me. So it's really kind of cool to have two guys out of this class that were not only student athletes, but also administrators and colleagues that I work side by side with.
Yeah, and to follow up with the coaching conversation there, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this. Jim Toman, the recent passing of former Blue Raider head baseball coach. What has he meant to just you and also the rest of this program for the baseball team, and just how it elevated them throughout the years?
Yeah, and like when I was at South Carolina, Coach Toman was a assistant coach there, so our friendship goes back to those days. And man, he was he was a recruiting fiend, and a little bit like a polished Ed Orgeron kind of thing that is what he kind of always reminded me of. And so he helped build all those World Series teams there. And so when we had a chance to hire him, I wanted that kind of maniacal recruiting that he offered, and he did. He elevated our talent here and did a good job. And it's just tragic. He had a brain cancer and just robbed him early, and his players loved him, whether it's South Carolina, Liberty, or here, College of Charleston. All of his stops, great family, great children, so he had impact far beyond baseball, and he was a family man first, and I always respected that about Coach Toman. So the world's not as good and that he's not in it. I hope he's in a better place, and I'm thankful for all the years that I got to know him.
We're talking with Middle Tennessee State Athletic Director Chris Massar, live from Floyd Stadium. You also have a role with the College Football Playoff Committee. What has that experience been like for you over the last year, and being in the room for those big discussions around the future of college football?
Yeah, and it's fun. It's, I'm on a 3-year term. All of us have 3-year terms, so I just completed year 1, and so it was fun being part of it. And you just have to, and they do a great job of indoctrinating you, like leave your biases at the door, and so you can't wear any of your logos in there. So I had to get a whole different wardrobe, because that's all I wear is Middle Tennessee stuff. And so you can't do that, and with just reason, and then they always stress that our job's just to get it right, and we got to leave those to get it right. We have to listen to everybody's viewpoint and respect each other in that room. And everybody looks at everything a little bit differently, and it's never going to be 13-0 kind of decision when you get down to it. It might be a 7-6, it might be a 6-6-1 kind of thing, where it gets really close at the end when you're trying to split hairs on who should be in and who should be out. But the big thing is to keep in mind that millions of people are counting on you, and there's a pressure with that, and they want you to watch a bunch of games. So you come in there, and I tried to watch 25 to 30 a week, and so you go in there with a good base of knowledge. I always wanted to be, I never wanted to be the least prepared. It's always like you're working on this term paper, you're never quite caught up, and so I wanted people to go, oh, he was really well prepared. They may not agree with me, but, at least they knew I put in the work. And so that's the mindset. And I think that's the mindset of most of the committee. I really thought it'll be easy to outwork some of these guys. And man, it was hard, and because everybody puts it in. And it is, because you think about all the people that are counting on you to do your work, whether they're in the West Coast, they're in the South, they're whoever, and just fans. And they trust you with this endeavor, and they may not agree with the final outcome, but if they feel like you had integrity and you did your work, I think that takes a lot of it away. They still might not agree, and I've got emails that prove that, but you know what? At least I can say I did my best, and I think our committee does our best. And I think if you look at the history of the committee, and I've only been on it one time, and I think there's been 12 committees or something like that. And I think they've gotten it right, and so that's the biggest thing. And we can quibble on the margins, but I think generally every year they get it right.
It is funny because you thought going from 4 to 12 maybe would get rid of some of the arguments, but no matter where you draw the line, there's always going to be some fan base that believes that they got left out and they should have been put in.
Yeah, and it's hard, and really, like from my experience last year, that you could argue there's not much difference between teams, whatever, and I'm between 10 and 18
Right.
or whatever that might be, and so like some people think that the expansion will make that job easier. I think it'll make it harder because picking whatever that goes to, if it does expand, those teams are all starting to look alike,
Right.
and there's not much differential. Sometimes there's differentials between 1, 2, and 3 and 4,
Right.
and those kind of things. But generally speaking, when you get 18 to 25 or 16 to 30, and it becomes hard.
Yeah,
So that'll be interesting.
Lots of 10-2 teams, lots of 9-3 teams, all mixed in there. Last one for you before we let you go. Excited for a new season. What should MTSU fans be excited about most to come out here to Floyd Stadium when the season begins next month?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is they're going to see a team, and it's our motto, all in. And they're going to see a team that's going to play 4 quarters. They're going to play every snap. And Derek Mason's an alley cat, man. I mean, he's a fighter. And his teams are starting to reflect that. And I think you'll see that. We've seen it kind of in all the preseason and all those kind of things. So it's going to play the game the right way. It's going to play the game hard. They're going to be really competitive. I think that what they're going to see is an offensive line that's dramatically improved over what we've had the last couple of years, and the ability to run the ball, and that's going to help us. And so I want them to come and see wins. That's
Right.
the bottom line. I hope they see wins, and we didn't see as much of it last year as we'd want. We lost 7 games and 1 possession games. And so a lot of time was spent on how do we correct that, and so I believe in Derek's plan, and I'm excited to see it.
Athletic Director Chris Massaro joining us here on Next Man Up. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for having us out here again, and looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys, and listen to our games on 102.5.
100% with Chip Walters and our very own Big Joe Dubin. Excited for the new season. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take a break. Be right back here from MTSU. Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. You can join the conversation on our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Again, I am live at Floyd Stadium, MTSU football getting ready for a new season. A big thanks to Athletic Director Chris Massaro for joining us in the last segment. We're going to be joined shortly by MTSU defensive back Jackson Lowe. Nick, I thought the comments about his role on the college football playoff committee were really interesting, about just wanting to make sure they get it right. He's watching, he said 25 to 30 football games a week, which, I mean, I guess you have to in a 12-team playoff. There's so many teams involved that you have to be able to be knowledgeable about. But, man, I'm sure that is a grueling few weeks for them, month and a half, where they've got to watch pretty much every snap of any team that is remotely involved in this conversation to make sure that they're making the right decisions.
Yeah, it's tough because if you're an athletic director, you also have your normal day-to-day duties as an athletic director at that, respective college. It's almost like if you're a student, you get all your tough classes out of the way in the spring. If you're a football player, you kind of take the easier classes during the football season, so you kind of even things out. But for an athletic director, no, there's always going to be difficult opportunities and jobs that you have to complete while doing the college football committee. I thought it was very telling, though, when he said, leave your bias at the door, and some of the votes, that they're not always so much of a landslide.
Right, and yeah, he said he had to get a whole new wardrobe. I thought that was funny. He can't wear the MTSU gear into the committee room, and he's right though. It's so tough in these situations. For years, the thought process was, well, 4 is not enough because there's more than 4 teams that are national championship contenders. But the more you go, it doesn't make it any easier. The 13th team is always going to think that they deserve to be in. The 16th, the 17th team, the 21st team, whatever it ends up being, they're always going to think that they deserve to be in. So it's a tough decision, and we're excited to see what the future of the college football playoff looks like. We are now thrilled to be joined live here at Floyd Stadium by sophomore defensive back Jackson Lowe. Jackson, thanks so much for joining us.
How y'all doing? Thank you for having me.
Doing great. Look great at practice today. What's the excitement level as you guys gear up for a new season?
Man, I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic for this new team, new season, and I'm just, football's here.
Does it get a little bit challenging every day being out here against the same guys? Just, you're still 3 weeks away. Just want to go hit somebody else in a different color uniform than you.
Yeah, it gets a little repetitive sometimes. Like day 1 through 3, like, yeah, you hyped up, and it's now 6, 7, 8, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm tired of seeing the same faces. I need new faces, but it's still good work, still good competition every day.
Jackson Lowe is with us here on Next Man Up. Jackson, obviously you're a hometown kid, Brentwood, Tennessee, went to school at Brentwood High School. What is your defensive back coach, Michael Kane, served for you getting to the next level?
Well, Coach Kane, he was a very smart defensive guy. He taught me all the IQ I could ever know that translated so well to, the college level. So he was very smart, taught me down and distance, different defensive calls and coverages that really prepared me to go into college as a young freshman last 2 years, and then playing more in my redshirt freshman year. So I credit all my IQ coming into college from him.
And what's it been like under a defensive-minded head coach like Derek Mason? What's it been like for you learning under a quality style coach like that?
I mean, it's great. Like, he taught me so many new details that I never knew about the game going in. Coach Kane probably taught me the broadness, and then Coach Mason's taught me the fine details, different field zones and field areas, what to expect, how to predict the play before it comes. So stuff like that, like the fine-tune little things that people don't really notice when they're watching off screen, but, in the midst of it, of the little stuff, the little things.
We're talking to sophomore defensive back here at MTSU, Jackson Lowe. Jackson, you get to play on the same defense as your brother. What's that like to have your family member in the same defensive backfield?
Oh, it's a dream come true. From playing in high school with them, I was the younger one, so I was always like, I gotta play up. So playing in high school, playing in college is just a blessing from God. To be able to play with my older brother, seeing him out there, it's kind of weird. Sometimes I don't notice, but when I find them, I'm like, oh yeah, we about to turn out the low bros, the low brothers. So, yeah.
Getting to play a lot last year as a redshirt freshman, how much do you think that experience has helped you grow, playing young as a college freshman?
Yeah, I feel like it made me mature quicker, way faster. Starting Wisconsin, game 2 was a big moment for me. Stepping into big shoes, a big moment. But, getting the butterflies out the way last year has really made me more mature and more ready and more solid in who I am as a player coming in this year. So now the stuff I used to hesitate last year is no more no more hesitation. It's time to go hit something.
Yeah, Jackson, when you look at this upcoming schedule for your team this year, what game kind of sticks out, I guess, most for you?
I would say Kansas. Last year our star receiver Najee Cox left, transferred over there, went against them every day in practice. So I'm most ready for that matchup. So I want that the most.
And then what in this upcoming season, what for you is something you've really kind of honed in on to kind of perfect the craft?
I just feel like I honed in on my press. Coach Belu's a great coach, DB coach. Tell me different techniques, but honing on my press technique because technique's the difference. We're all athletic out here. We all can run, all can jump, but technique is the difference maker in high athletic and high competition games. So my technique and my press.
I'm seeing on your bio here that you also ran track and wrestled in high school over
Yes,
at
sir.
Brentwood. Do you think those skills that you learned from those two sports specifically really translate to playing DB at the college level?
Yeah, track obviously for speed. You gotta have a speed to play DB, but wrestling is different because some DBs don't want to tackle, but not me over here. Come to the edge. I'm gonna lay the wood. Block destruction. Don't try to block me. I'm gonna throw you out the club. And then I'm pretty heavy-handed, so in the press, man, I'm going to put my hands on you. So wrestling made me tougher, track made me faster.
I love it. And I've also got to ask, your aunt, CeCe Winans, 18-time Grammy winner as a gospel singer. Is it hereditary? Do you have a great singing voice as well?
No, I sang on Father's Day, but don't look up Bethel Outreach Church Father's Day because you're gonna find me. I don't want people to know about that. I just got a little bit. I got like 2%. 2% singing ability, but besides that, 98% is football.
Hey, 2% of 18 Grammys is almost one of your own, or it's close, yeah. So
close.
You're getting close there. Last one for you here, Jackson. Just what should fans be excited about with this year's version of the Blue Raiders? Obviously, just a 3-win season last year, but a lot of excitement and a lot of potential for this year's version.
Well, you're just going to see a hungry team ready to get after it, ready to prove themselves from last 2 years, 2 seasons, and just ready to be more physical, more aggressive, and win games. We're coming out here to win games, not to play around anymore, not to start out slow. We're going to start out fast. So come out, show out September 5th.
Jackson, thanks so much for taking some time and wishing you the best of luck this season.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
We will take a quick break. We'll wrap up the second hour of the show after this. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, live from Floyd Stadium down in Murfreesboro. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt back at our studios. It's been a Blue Raider hour so far. Big Joe Dubin, Chris Massaro, Jackson Lowe, all joining us live here. Jackson Lowe was great. I loved his takes on wrestling and track, and those preparing him to play defensive back at the college level. You got to be fast. You got to be physical. Those are two pretty good sports to prepare you for that.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's almost like I want to know what his favorite player would have been like when he was growing up as a kid, because, I mean, the only player that kind of comes to mind would be kind of like Charles Woodson, sort of, or like an Ed Reed.
Darren Sharper.
Yes.
Hardest hidden safety in the league.
Safety in the league.
I love that we were on the same page there, Connor. I guess so. It's going to date me because I just realized how young college kids are these days, that he wouldn't have grown up watching like Cortland Finnegan, right? Because that's who I'm thinking of like wrestling, like going to be in your face, press you at the line of scrimmage. Like that's kind of what I was thinking there. But even though he grew up in Nashville, I'm going to say he was probably too young for Cortland Finnegan, right?
Yeah, probably like the back end of Jason McCourty. Wouldn't that be?
Like growing up. I don't know if he grew up a Titans fan or not, but like Finnegan, his last year with the Titans was what, like 2010?
I'm looking
somewhere in there. He was an All-Pro in 2008, which makes sense. 2011 was his last year. So there's actually, no, he probably would have been like 5 years old. Yeah, he wouldn't have remembered that. But anyway, that's kind of where my mind was going with that. But big thanks to Jackson Lowe for joining us, as well as Chris Massaro and our good friend Big Joe Dubin. We're going to get back into the Titans coming up at 11 a.m. as they are out in Santa Clara getting ready for a joint practice with the 49ers, which will start in just over an hour. But I did want to bounce around here. Dr. Crane, you have been out there as the boys in gold have been playing this week in the League's Cup. Lost last week, but did get a big bounce-back win on Sunday. One more game coming up tomorrow night at Geodis Park. What have been your thoughts on Nashville? Kind of seemed like Sunday they got their swagger back a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, they've been dealing with the injury bug, trying to get players slowly back from, the World Cup after all that. They had Warren Madrigal, 3 games with an injury after the World Cup break. Christian Espinoza has been hurt. He comes back and starts versus San Luis and gets a brace in the first half. A beautiful free kick goal right before the halftime whistle. But no, it's just this Nashville team, you're finally starting to see what they were before the World Cup break, and that's just being able to have a high line and be able to press the other team in their own half and just kind of suffocate them. And that's just something that's been missing for quite some time. I think right after the World Cup break, you look at the way Nashville has had to really, manage their roster. It was the first League's Cup game against Leon on last Wednesday, and they fielded the youngest starting 11 in club history. And it wasn't bad. It's just that they needed that little extra bit of experience in the back to kind of keep it at a different scoreline. But no, I think Nashville is on the right trajectory of getting back to their old form. Patrick Yazbek's still not back yet in the starting 11. So we'll see when that is the case, but they take on Monterrey tomorrow. And it's funny because the Monterrey car show starts in Monterrey, Mexico tomorrow on Wednesday.
Wow.
So it's just how fitting they're all doing that all on a Wednesday.
So the League's Cup, forgive me for not being knowledgeable about this. Is this like the group stage that they're playing in right now?
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because the League's Cup, it's to me, I don't want to sound rude when saying this. It just seems like a money grab. Like for me, when I look at League's Cup, I look at it as the tournament for Inter Miami to capitalize on the Messi tax. That's how I look at it.
Gotcha.
But no, it's just basically 2 divisions. The Liga MX teams from Mexico and then the MLS teams, and they all play each other. It's like round robin group stage. Each team has 3 games. I think top 4 teams out of each side that has the most points. Basically, if you win 3 games, you're in good shape. But if it gets down to like 6 points differential, like winning 2 games and losing 1, then they go off of goal differential of goals for and goals against.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm looking at the Phase 1 standings now, and Nashville currently in 9th out of 18. So right in the middle there. They have the game tomorrow night against Monterrey. So we'll see how that goes. And then Saturday, huge game coming up with Messi and Miami coming to town. The rivalry that just continues to give. It seems like these teams play each other 8 times a year, and they make the trip back to Nashville to face off this weekend.
Yeah, it's fitting we mentioned Leagues Cup before Inter Miami because everybody remembers that 2023 Cup final here. And I feel like that's where that rivalry truly developed between Nashville SC and Inter Miami. So, I mean, I'm not sure if Messi will play on Saturday just due to the fact of the passing of his father. I think it was last week, and it's kind of leaked into this week. So, condolences to him and the rest of his family. But we'll see what happens with that if he does play. Just be prepared for Inter Miami to come out guns a-blazing. And now they have Casemiro, the Brazilian midfielder that they got after the World Cup. So they've been playing pretty well as of late, but they lost the other night in the Leagues Cup.
It does seem like any foreign player who maybe is getting to the back end of their career just says, oh, let me just go play with Messi down in Miami. It seems like they add a new international superstar or former international superstar pretty much every single week.
Yeah, they do a good job with that. I think it's just the structure and also the formation that they like to play around Messi. I think, you can have 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 players internationally that are on the back end of their prime, and you could just use them as pillars of different parts of the field. Like for Messi, he's an attacking forward. You have Casemiro, who's more of a defensive midfielder, can be a box-to-box from time to time. You have a few other players that are veterans that you can just, slowly implement. Rodrigo de Paul, another midfielder. So if you have a solid midfield, that helps connect the defensive back line to the forwards, and they just allow the young players to just high press and go after the opposing teams and allow the old farts in this case to be able to place themselves properly on the field.
Yeah, it's going to be fun on Saturday. It always is when Miami faces Nashville, and you hope that Messi is back out there. And as you said, condolences to his family on the passing of his father. But you do hope that he'll be out there because it is always fun when those two teams meet. It's been, pretty much every single possible matchup that you can find, whether it was the MLS playoffs last year, the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Now they're playing in the regular season. So it's always Miami and Nashville. All roads lead back to that matchup. Quickly, before we wrap up the second hour here, did want to get your thoughts, Nick, and you, Connor, as well. We're shaping up for a really fun pennant race in baseball. You look at both leagues, and there's a lot of teams still within striking distance of those wild card spots. As it stands right now, the Dodgers would not get a first-round bye. They would have to play in that 3-game wildcard series, and actually now tied with the Braves after winning last night. But I think it's going to be a really fun final month and a half here of the baseball season as we gear up for October, with pretty much more than half the league still feeling like they have a chance to sneak into the postseason.
Yeah, you look at that National League race for that wild card spot. The Padres only 1 game back. It's interesting to see the Marlins in the conversation because at the beginning of the season, they were kind of off to a rocky start, and they hit like a 10-game win streak, and then they go back down again. And obviously the Cardinals are right behind the Marlins at 4.5. So they're just a lot of healthy competition going on in the National League. To me, if the Phillies continue, go on their winning spree, I do think Don Mattingly wins that NL Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you look at the AL, the Royals, the Athletics, the Angels, they're all out. They're 11-plus games back of a playoff spot. But would it shock you if any of the other teams still in that mix found their way into the postseason? Seattle was in the ALCS last year, and I know they traded Luis Castillo, but still a lot of talent there. Toronto was a couple of an out away, a wedged ball underneath the fence in left center field from possibly beating the Dodgers in the World Series last year. I know they've struggled this season, but they're 3.5 games out. The Twins, Tigers, and Guardians are all within 2 games of a wild card spot. So I understand the baseball traditionalists who don't like the expanded playoff format and want it to be more selective for the teams that get in. But it makes August and September more fun when you have in the AL 12 teams who feel like they have a chance to go and make a run and get into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I'm just laughing at, when you look at the Baltimore Orioles, they go trade in division for like Adley Rutschman to go to the Red Sox. It's mind boggling to me because you don't want to trade inside of the American League, and they did it anyways.
Right. The Adley Rutschman trade strange. And I know I didn't mention the Orioles even in there, even though they're only 3 games back, but
yeah.
That franchise, I feel for him. Again, growing up in the DMV area, I knew a lot of Orioles fans, and I know there was a whole lot of excitement when the tanking finally paid off and they got a whole bunch of talent with Rutschman and Jackson Holliday and all these guys. And it's, they now are selling some of those guys off because it hasn't panned out. So we will see. The AL looks like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. The NL at the top with the Braves, the Brewers, the Dodgers. Like I do think that, yes, you look at it and you say the Dodgers are still the odds-on favorite to go win the World Series. And I think I would be surprised if anyone other than the Dodgers won it. But I do think that you've got a lot of talented teams around both leagues. And Tarik Skubal, to be fair, his first 2 starts with the Dodgers haven't exactly been great. Now, they haven't been horrible, but for a guy who's back-to-back Cy Young winner, you expect more than 5 innings and 3 earned runs last night in that game against the Royals.
Well, that's one thing the Dodgers, they've been getting away with for the last season and a half is their run support. You've had such a loaded lineup, 1 to 9, but then the pitching has just been, I wouldn't say mediocre. Like, it's been lights out from time to time, but you make a good point there, Jake. Like, Skubal's starts have not been glorious at all by all means.
Yeah.
But that's the issue right now is you have guys that are struggling in their lineup. Ohtani hasn't really been the same. Like, obviously Shohei Ohtani is just a different baseball player in general, but he's not been the same at all since his little elbow injury early on where they took him off the mound.
Yeah, I will say the Dodgers, if that team is healthy, it's going to be tough to beat them. They've got as much pitching as you could possibly imagine in that rotation, and even in the bullpen. I'm blanking on the name of the guy they just called up. I believe he's a former Vol, Seth Halverson, who he hasn't been as good this year. But I remember last year he was one of those guys from the Rockies that a whole bunch of teams were wanting to trade for. Throws 100 miles an hour out of the bullpen, and they just called him up from AAA. So it's like they've got pitching as far as pitching can go, but they got to be healthy. Glasnow hasn't been healthy all year. Snell hasn't really been healthy. Who knows if Ohtani's going to pitch? Skubal's had his health issues. So we'll see. I do think baseball, you're going to see a lockout because the Dodgers have loaded up that roster. And again, they got Kyle Tucker hitting 7th. And I know he hasn't been $60 million worth of a player this year, but I do think that the next couple months are going to be fun as we count down the days to the postseason. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last thing here before we wrap up the hour, did you guys see the offer that the Mavericks gave for Cooper Flagg's 1-of-1 rookie card?
Yes.
That was put out there?
Yes.
And it was actually found in Rhode Island on Monday night. So somebody did find it. The offer from the Mavericks, I want to see if I can find the exact one. Here it is. So the offer is 32 years of premium lower level season tickets, a game-worn Cooper Flagg rookie jersey, a photo op with the star, a road trip to see the Mavericks face the Celtics with round-trip airfare, hotel accommodations, and game tickets covered. Now, I know for these guys, they live in Rhode Island. I will say 32 years of premium lower level season tickets, I think is worth it, right? Like, I think you have to say yes to that, right?
No, I don't take it. I take the money.
How much is it? How much money is the card going to be worth?
Like $3.5 million.
Oh, see, I did not know that. Okay, I changed my mind. Maybe $3.5 million is worth more than 32 years of season tickets.
Yeah, that's what these people kind of do, Jake. Like, if it's an on-card auto and not a sticker auto, there's a difference to that. There really is.
I must not be very in tune with what card collecting looks like. I was thinking it was going to be worth like $200,000-$300,000. Like, that was my thought process. Was like 6 figures, good 6 figures. But yeah, if it's $3.5 million. Yeah, show me my money.
Plus, if you live in Rhode Island, why are you traveling all the way down to Dallas for season tickets?
Yeah, and I guess that's true. But man, having 32 years of season tickets, like that sounds great to me.
What if you don't care about the franchise? What if you're not a Mavs fan?
But it just gives you the option to do it. Fine, I take it back. $3.5 million. Give it to me. I'm not. I take back my take on that one.
Yeah, to value Connor's point, it says it's valued up to $3 million to $5 million. So it could be even more than $3.5 million.
I apologize. I was uneducated on the price of this card. In my mind, I was thinking there's no way any card is worth more than a couple $100,000. Like, that was in my mind. $5 million? Yeah, never mind. The Mavericks can go sell those season tickets somewhere else.
Unless they give you the option, like, if you accept that deal, you have to get $2 million in return, and then they still allow you to resell those tickets if need be.
Well, right. Like, I was thinking that you could resell them and that would be an income stream for you for years. And like, if you wanted to go to games, you could, but that's not going to make up $3 million. I was completely off base on what I thought this card was worth.
Well, the Paul Skeens card sold for $1 million, and they didn't even give into that deal.
What did they offer for that one? It was like
Box with Livy
sweet.
Dunn, right?
Yeah. I think it was a box with Livy Dunn.
It was like 30 years of behind the base tickets or behind home plate. A suite with Livy Dunn, or she pitched in on some of that. I think his jersey, I think a picture with him or something like that, and they didn't take it.
I got to say, it was an 11-year-old who found that card and declined the deal. I would have thought that with Livy involved, I thought it might have gone the other way.
Yeah, it was a VIP spring training trip, a player meet and greet, batting practice access, multi-year season tickets. Paul Skeen's girlfriend, Olivia Dunn, offered the card holder a shared experience in her PNC Park luxury suite, and the collector passed on the team's perks and then went to Fanatics to sell for $1.1 million.
I'll take the money.
Yep, I take it back. Give, as 4312 said, show me the money. I did not realize it was like a 7-figure card. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We've got one more hour with you. We'll give away some PBR Stampede Days tickets in the final hour as well, and talk plenty of Titans as joint practice is just an hour away out in San Francisco. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Final hour on this Tuesday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. I am live at Floyd Stadium. Practice is wrapped up for MTSU. Big thanks to Chris Massaro joining us in the last hour, as well as Jackson Lowe, sophomore defensive back for the Blue Raiders. Connor and Nick are back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Let's get back into the Titans here. We are under an hour away from joint practice getting started out on the West Coast. Titans and 49ers practicing against each other today, and then preseason game number 1 on Thursday. And we got a couple of days to prepare for that preseason opener, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Who does the preseason mean the most for this year for the Titans? I would say a lot of the starters are already locked in. We talked a little bit about the offensive line competition, but towards the back end of the roster, I think there are some really interesting battles for the last few roster spots, especially on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, I would say, that fourth running back spot, if it's Khalil Mullins, if it's Michael Carter, if it's, in this case, I think Tajay Spears needs to be really – staying healthy for the most part. I know the joint practice, or not joint practice, but the blue and white game over at Nissan Stadium, Robert Saleh said he left the game early with Khalil Mullins. So it just makes you wonder. That guy has always been kind of on the injury bug for the last portion of his time with the Titans. I think he just needs to step up and stay healthy, because if not, it's an opportunity for a rookie running back like Nick Singleton to really step up to the plate. Yeah, that running back room is really crowded. And I don't really take the unofficial depth chart at face value, right, where Michael Carter's listed as running back 3. I don't know if that's really the case. I think that the young guys, the guys you spent draft picks on, are probably going to be the ones who make the roster. But there are a lot of names that people are familiar with in there. Pollard and Spears are going to make the roster. Then you've got the draft picks, Singleton and Mullins. But Julius Chestnut, he's a cockroach. He always sticks around. Michael Carter is familiar with Robert Saleh, having played for him in New York. So that you're right. That is a very interesting room. And I think in the second half of games, you're going to see all 4 of those guys towards the back end of that running back room get a lot of run. Yeah, and another name that kind of comes to mind would be Gunnar Helm. I just want to see him get quality reps at that tight end position, because I do see him and value him as a top pass catcher in this offense with Brian Daboll. I mean, obviously Luke Stocker's in charge of the screen game, but he's a coach that's been through and through with this franchise that understands what it takes to win games. And I think we've seen that tight end position deteriorate since Johnny Smith left, because Chigakonkwo never really came to being that top tight end that the Titans drafted him to be. So if Gunnar Helm can just be a small fraction of production like a guy like Johnny Smith was when he was here with the Titans, I think that's huge as well. Yeah, and Gunnar Helm had a nice catch on Friday night for a touchdown in the stadium scrimmage. Last year, if you remember back, the second preseason game against the Falcons, he had a great catch from, was that Brandon Allen who threw that football last year? I want to say it was. Brandon Allen, from like 25 yards out, he went up and over a defensive back to make the play. So I agree with you. I think Gunnar Helm, I think we're going to see him and some of the other young offensive weapons, I think, might play a little bit beyond what you would see the starters play, right? Like Robert Saleh said, the starters are going to play. That can mean a lot of different things. Like I doubt Jeffrey Simmons is going to be out there. And I think there are going to be a couple series early where you get the starting offensive line, you get Cam Ward. But I think even once you get to Trubisky in the game and the second team offensive line, you might see a decent amount of Gunnar Helm. You might see a decent amount of Alec Iamaner and Tim Dike, because those guys do need to continue to get reps to develop in those game situations. Yeah, and I think it just is a better way to look at it and say, hey, we're going to disguise the play action a little bit better. And it's like when you target those, running backs that like to catch balls out of the backfield or just run the ball up the middle, maybe you can utilize it with a little bit of Gunnar Helm in there and just sprinkle it on, and then you beat them over the top in a nice play action play, which was the Titans' bread and butter back in the day in 2019, 2020, 2021. Yep. I think another, I would say, position group that should be focused on throughout the preseason is the kicking game. Joey Sly, it was under scrutiny this past Friday. And even Robert Saleh mentioned that the kicking game has to get better. I think they held a tryout or with free agent options like Young Ho Koo and
Young Hui Koo.
Young Hui, excuse. I got the whole Young Ho Lee thing in my brain from baseball. When I was on the call with Jake the other day, I was like, Young Ho Lee. I was like, wait a minute, that's baseball. I just get the names all mixed up, so I apologize.
Are you sure you weren't cruising down Broadway?
No.
It's
very true. Very true.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to talk Titans preseason and the joint practice today in San Francisco. But our good friend Trey is called in. Trey is on the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey, good morning. What you got for us today?
Good morning. Hey guys, I'm kind of torn this morning.
What about?
Torn because of the fact that Will Levis is still on the team, which I think he's. Listen to me out. Listen to me. Okay, Will Levis is still on the team, which he is probably going to trend toward his progression of the mean, which means he's going to do well because his numbers was low. And so is Cam Ward. Both of them is trending north in the progression aspect of, the lineage of them. They got bottom barrel numbers right now, so it's only going to go up. And I really want to see both of them play.
Well, that leads me exactly to where I wanted to go next with this, Trey. Thank you, because I do think Will Levis is going to get plenty of opportunities in the preseason.
I would say so. I mean, this is a guy that said he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in this league. Obviously, that clip that is trending online as of late with the rolling out to the right. I think, I think Will Levis just needs to understand if there's a clean pocket, just throw it away. No need to roll out and just improvise. Like, that's the whole point of this offensive line getting better, because if you roll out of the pocket, these offensive linemen have to improvise, potentially get themselves hurt trying to keep you upright. I think it's unfortunate. So for a guy like Will Levis, I think you just need to stay cool, calm, and collected, make a good tape for yourself, and find you a suitor somewhere else.
Yeah, we've talked about it plenty of times. His next chance isn't going to come here. It's not. He's got to prove to another team that he's worthy of taking on, whether that's this year in a trade or if he gets cut and somebody picks him up off waivers, or next year in free agency. He's got to put something on tape that proves that he's worthy of being a reclamation project. And we can talk more about that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Great to hear from Trey. He didn't say Thursday's a must win for the Titans. So maybe not as important of a preseason game as typically in Trey's mind.
Well, the Bears one is, remember?
Right. The Bears one is going to be tough because the Titans might get beat up too much before the Jets game, remember?
That's right. That's right. All the starters will be out there.
All the starters are going to be hurt.
Will he be watching this year is the real question.
Listening exclusively.
I bet that smile looks nice, though. He just got his teeth done.
He did. And we're glad that he's back safe from South America. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation around the quarterbacks coming up next. I've said it all week, all offseason really, is that I think Will Levis is going to play a ton in these preseason games starting on Thursday. We can talk about that a little bit. How much do you need to see Trubisky? Does Hooker even play at all? And we'll get into some other guys who have an opportunity this week to prove themselves in joint practice and in the preseason game. 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's give some tickets away here. It is Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena coming up this weekend. You can win a 4-pack of tickets. They will either be for Friday, August 14th or Sunday, August 16th. Be caller number 3 right now at 615-737-1025. You'll win a 4-pair of tickets to PBR Stampede Days this weekend at Bridgestone Arena. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newton, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you.
Shout out Nick Frazier.
Yeah, there you go.
This one's for you.
This one's for all the kickers out there.
Yep. Big legs.
What was his name again?
We can continue moving forward.
Young
Yeah, you know.
Hui Ku.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pronunciation is key in the American language.
It is. But, you are far from the first person to get that one wrong, Dr. Crane.
Oh, that's
so.
all right. I appreciate it. I'll be down on Broadway this weekend. On Friday night, we just gave away some PBR tickets. They're first in the PBR, by the way, for the team series. So
I know. That's going to be
7-1
fun.
in the year.
We have, I'm blanking on his name, the champion that we had on a few weeks ago. It was great talking with him, and he was working his way back from injury. I'm trying to see if Dalen Swearingen. We had him on a few weeks ago, the 2022 PBR World Champion. He's on the Stampede, so I'm excited to see what it looks like down there this weekend. I know you've been out there pretty much every year they've done this, Nick.
Yeah, I've been out there the last 2 years. I'll be down there Friday night. Saturday, obviously, I'll be at the soccer game. So they have the 3 days of the weekend. So it's 14, 15, and 16th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, Friday night's always fun. You kind of set the tone of the weekend. But,
yep.
I mean, Saturday night is like the main event night. I mean, tickets are selling out for that type of event. So
yep.
Always fun. Go with a big old group.
Looking forward to it. We are talking Titans. You can keep up with Titans training camp and all our training camp updates with 102.5 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as we get you prepped for the upcoming football season. Coverage of training camp is presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. Titans getting their first of 3 joint practices started in just about 45 minutes out there in San Francisco, right next to the substation. They'll have joint practices each of the next 3 weeks. Today in Santa Clara, next Friday against the Seahawks, and then the Thursday after that against the Bears. So going to be good tests for the Titans. But preseason, the games, when you do the joint practices, the games seem to matter less and less. And Robert Saleh has said that the starters are going to play. And I do think we will see Cam Ward and the starting offensive line in all 3 games. How much they play, I think, is going to be based more on just game feel, right? I don't think Robert Saleh is going into these games saying they're going to play X amount of snaps or X amount of drives. I think it's just going to be how it feels. If they go down and score a touchdown the first drive, pull them. Night, you're done. But if it takes a couple of drives for them to maybe find some rhythm and find some good feelings and some confidence, maybe you leave them in there longer. I've said before, I don't know how much you really need to see Mitch Trubisky out there. Like, he's a veteran. He's been in the league for what? He was the 2017 draft, so almost a decade now Mitch Trubisky's been in the league. He's played in this Dable system before. I'm not saying don't play him at all, but I don't think you need to play him more than a quarter. And we've seen in practice, Hendon Hooker isn't taking reps with team. So he hasn't been out there. I really do think that this is the Will Levis showcase. And I've said this a lot on the show the last couple of weeks, but I am excited to see Thursday if that's what it ends up being. Is it just, hey, put Will Levis out there for the entire second half of the game, if not more, and see if he can put something on tape that's going to intrigue some other teams to come to the table and maybe offer a draft pick?
Yeah, I think it was back earlier on in the summer, Robert Saleh was asked about, the preseason and when the games take place. He goes, our starters are going to play. Everybody's going to play. So, I don't know if that was tongue in cheek or if that's actually going to happen. So, like you said, Jake, yeah, if they have a really good drive, allow it to happen, take them out. My brain goes back to the Tampa Bay preseason game last year where Tajay Spears got hurt and it put him out for a couple weeks. I just don't want to see that happen. That's the biggest worry because, again, back to the whole injury front for the San Francisco 49ers, there are a lot of players that are not going to be playing because of injury, which allows these young rookies and these young players on the 49ers defense that are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to make a roster spot. So this is their Super Bowl in a roundabout way. And then you have the Titans on the other hand that are just trying to get a good front, get better in some cases. Don't want any injuries to happen in that regard.
Yeah, you look at this Titans roster, and without actually going through numbers by player by player, I would say 45 guys on this team are pretty much locks. Like you're not really talking about them. But for the other half of the guys in camp, this is a job interview for them. And this is an opportunity, whether it's for the Titans or whether it's for another team, to put something on tape that gets you an opportunity on a practice squad or maybe making a 53, being claimed off waivers. So I do think the preseason, the second half, a lot of it's going to be about those last 5-ish spots on this Titans roster and who gets in. I do think the back end of the secondary is something that I'm going to keep an eye on. You know who the starters are going to be for the Titans this year in the secondary. It's going to be Hooker and Winston at the safety spots. It's going to be Taylor, Flott, and likely Marcus Harris as your starting corners. But behind that, like Joshua Williams is going to make the team coming over from Kansas City. He's been in the non-contact jersey, so hoping that he's okay and can get back to full practices soon. He's probably your cornerback 4, but you're going to need more than that. Is it Micah Robinson who's going to get that? Is it Parker's guy, Keedrain Callaghan, who's going to make the roster? He's shown out a couple of times throughout the offseason work and into training camp. Safety, does Tony Adams solidify himself as the third safety? I do think that battle towards the back end of the secondary room, that's going to be important during these preseason games. We've seen some big plays over the years. Like last year, was it Kendall Brooks who had the pick 6 in Atlanta in the preseason? Like, I don't know if he made the team, but that's a moment that stands out. I think a lot of those depth safeties and depth corners are going to be looking to have that moment where they flash and stand out and try and sneak onto this roster.
Yeah, and I think Bones Fossil is going to play a role in that, I guess, secondary in some case, because you're going to need some special teamers. You're going to need gunners on punt and kick team, and a lot of these secondary players on the Titans defense, that's kind of what they're there for. They brought in a few players that have some special teams experience, and you hope that they can contribute in that form.
I do think that speaking of Bones Fossil, I do think Bryce Oliver has put himself in a really good spot for that 6 wide receiver role. I think this week and the week after could really solidify that. We did touch on the offensive line earlier, so we won't dive too deep back into that, but Robert Saleh did say a couple of weeks ago he doesn't think that the starting 5 will be locked in until that final week of the preseason when they square off with the Bears. So I think you're still going to see rotations this week. It's going to be important in the joint practice and the preseason, but I don't think any final decisions are coming there. What
are the odds, Jake, just back to the offensive side of the ball, what are the odds that Will Levis, like, let's say, I wouldn't say, I'll say it anyways, gets cut at some point?
I think, I don't want to say 50-50, but I'd say there's a less than 50% chance he's on the 53 for the Titans. And I would say probably 50-50 whether he gets traded or gets cut. I know Malik Willis drew a 7th-round pick, so that's kind of what I'm thinking is if Will Levis just shows a little bit of a flash, somebody's going to be willing to take that on again, he's on an expiring deal. It's not going to cost you much, and you can see what you've got for a year before he hits free agency. So I would say lower chance that he gets cut, maybe like 30% chance, and then like 30% chance he gets traded. Maybe a little higher than that. I don't think he's going to be on this team. I really don't. I don't think the Titans carry 3 quarterbacks. It's possible, but Will Levis also, and Connor can back me up on this, Will Levis, from what I've seen in practice, hasn't shown you anything that it's just like, hey, he deserves this. You need to keep a 3rd quarterback because he's that good. He hasn't shown me anything that would make me think that.
0, not 1. I mean, if anything, he's shown you that he's regressed. I don't think there's any moment that's really stood out to me that Will Levis has said or done anything on the field to say that I am much better than I was 2 years ago. Because remember, we didn't see him at all last year because of his whole arm injury, and he was off in California doing stuff. But now there's a distant gap between him and Mitch Trubisky and an even larger gap between him and Cam Ward. So I feel like at this point, it's almost a detriment to keep him on this roster. I think he's going to be a distraction, and I think he just hasn't shown any improvement. So why not just try and get as much value for him as you possibly can?
Right. And again, if he hasn't shown you that he deserves to be on this team, what's going to tell other teams that he deserves to be on their team? I don't know. And that's why I think it's important that he just gets a lot of reps in the preseason. So you can see, other teams can see, and then you can make a decision from there. But yeah, from what I've seen in practice, there's nothing that's shown me, oh man, the Titans, they might have to keep 3 quarterbacks. I don't think it's going to happen. And we had Julian Minnesota on yesterday. And he said that he's got a friend who doesn't follow sports, but his kind of judgment is, could that guy, my friend who doesn't know sports, walk out to a practice and say, that's the starting quarterback? And it's a very low bar for a guy, but I think it's been pretty clear watching practice, at least over the last week since the pads came on. You can tell pretty clearly Cam Ward is the best quarterback on this roster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you look at just the way Robert Saleh and even Brian Dable have invested around him. getting guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, and even in this case, having Calvin Ridley back as that veteran wide receiver, already building the rapport with Alec Alexander and Chimdike. I think it's huge for a guy like Cam Ward, and it shows the direction they're going in. It's all Cam Ward, nothing along with the lines of Will Levis.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've got 30 minutes left in the show. We are gearing up for Titans joint practice in Santa Clara. We have news. I'm not sure if you've seen this, Dr. Crano. I'm seeing the nod.
This is huge.
I'm pumped.
Nick Frazier's guy, Kyler Murray, going to be the starter in Minnesota. Not surprising, but we can react to that coming up next. One of the quarterback battles around the NFL has been decided. According to Adam Schefter, the Vikings have named Kyler Murray their starting quarterback. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction. We'll react next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, live from Floyd Stadium down in Murfreesboro. Been a fun morning, gearing up for a new MTSU football season. Talk with Chris Massaro, the athletic director. Talk with Jackson Lowe, sophomore defensive back. Expected to be a big player on this defense for the Blue Raiders. And Big Joe Dubin stopped by. You can listen to him and Chase McCabe coming up with Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier in about 30 minutes. Big news, at least for Nick Frazier. His guy, Kyler Murray, just officially named the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think there was ever really any serious consideration that J.J. McCarthy was going to start for the Vikings this year, but it's now official. Kyler Murray back being a starting quarterback, and we'll see if Kevin O'Connell can work his magic and turn him into a guy who can lead the Vikings into the playoff conversation.
Yeah, just leave the game consoles out of the locker room, leave the game consoles out of his own home. This is just, a Kyler Murray resurgence here is on the horizon. You have, critical pieces of the offense, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson. You now added Jawan Jennings this past offseason. Jordan Addison. You have probably one of the best wide receiver groups in the NFL right now. And I think we're going to see a resurgence from Kyler Murray. And the reason why I say that is just because of the surrounding cast. You look at J.J. McCarthy. He had the same opportunities last year minus Jawan Jennings and couldn't do much with it. So knowing that they have Carson Wentz as their backup quarterback in this case, I do think J.J. McCarthy slips down to that quarterback 3. I think is a beneficial thing for a guy like Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and we talked about Will Levis, and could there be suitors to trade for him? But Levis may have to get in line among the reclamation project quarterbacks that teams might be looking to trade for. We've talked about Mac Jones, who's already gone through the quarterback rehabilitation program in San Francisco, and the Titans will see him today out there in Santa Clara. J.J. McCarthy, once you rip the Band-Aid off, you can't go back. Kyler Murray's your starting quarterback. It seems like J.J. McCarthy's time with the Vikings is going to be short-lived. And then, of course, Anthony Richardson is still out there for teams if they want to make a move for him. So lots of reclamation project quarterbacks that could be out there. J.J. McCarthy joins them as Kyler Murray officially named the starting QB. I will say, like you said, keep the gaming consoles out. When does GTA 6 come out?
November.
Yeah, November.
Maybe it's going to be a good start for the Vikings, and it goes downhill after that.
Just got to keep him away from September, when the
late October usually.
Oh man, yeah. So this might be like if you're looking at the Vikings to get off to a hot start, be one of those October darlings, and kind of like the Bucs last year, where the Bucs started like 6-2 and then fell off a cliff. That might be the Vikings arc this season if Kyler Murray gets his hands on a PS5. But that's one of the quarterback competitions that is now officially wrapped up with Kyler Murray. No surprise being named the starting quarterback of the Vikings. Still aren't going to know much about the Falcons quarterback competition because Michael Penix is still working his way back from a knee injury. So I don't know how quickly you're going to get an answer there. Did you guys see the way Browns practice ended yesterday? The reports from this?
Yes.
It's just exactly what you'd expect from a team that is trying to find out whether Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders should be their starting quarterback. Here's one of the tweets recapping it. This is from Ashley Bastock, who covers the Browns. End of Browns practice. 1 minute, end of half situation. Sanders up first. The drive ends with 2 false starts on the line. Watson next, and after 2 completions, a sack, an illegal formation, and a false start, Todd Monken ended practice and threw something. So things clearly going very well in Cleveland in their quarterback competition there.
It needs to be studied. Deshaun Watson's rise and fall needs to be studied. That is crazy.
I don't think it needs to be studied. I think we know why.
I think there's one pretty glaring reason that things have gone south for him.
Yes, it's very true, but it's just crazy how you've been, looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in Clemson history. Then you go to Houston, have a success story there. Obviously, Cleveland, we all understand what happened there, but it's just wild, man.
No, it is true because I remember his first few years in the league, and you guys probably had the same feeling. Being a Titans fan growing up, you're like, man, Andrew Luck finally retired, and now Deshaun Watson's taking over, and he's going to be a star for years to come. Look at his 2020 season. He had 4,800 yards, Why are these? Oh, these are the advanced passing numbers. I was like, I don't understand all those stats. 4,800 yards, 70% completion, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for him in 2020 in his 4th year in the league. He looked like he was going to be a star. Since then, he has played a total of 19 games. He has completed right around 60% of his passes and has not had a season over 1,150 yards and has a total of 19 touchdowns in 3 seasons, did not play at all last year. I agree with you. The drop-off has just been it is the definition of falling off a cliff.
For me, it's right behind Anthony Rendon. This is the football version of Anthony Rendon's contract with the Angels. 7 years, $245 million.
Yeah, and completely guaranteed for Deshaun Watson. And again, obviously the off-the-field stuff and injuries has played into this, but it's crazy to go from somebody who was a 4-time Pro Bowler, was bordering on being named one. I mean, he was averaging 9 yards an attempt in that last season and was bringing Houston to the playoffs consistently. They were a blown lead away from possibly going to the AFC Championship where they would have played the Titans in the 2019 season. Like, it was all Deshaun Watson looked like he was on the fast track to stardom. And again, lots has happened off the field, injuries. But yeah, you're right. He has fallen off a cliff. And Shedeur Sanders versus Deshaun Watson. I mean, that is not exactly a quarterback competition that leads to much confidence being thrown towards the Cleveland Browns this year.
No, and I mean, now you have Shedeur that back there battling with them. I mean, it seems like at this point it's going to be the Shedeur Sanders show because of what they did in the draft. They go and get Casey Concepcion. They have Jerry Jeudy coming back. They have Isaiah Bond. I mean, they got some pieces on that offense to really flourish. Apparently,
Denzel Boston has been a stud so far in training camp, and that was my guy. I love Denzel Boston coming out of Washington this year, and he. Obviously, Carnell Tate a better prospect than Denzel Boston, so not saying anything about that. But Denzel Boston looks like he's going to be a good player. You got Concepcion. The pieces are there for the Browns if they can find the quarterback. But that's been the issue for them for a very long time is they just haven't been able to find the quarterback.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the running back room. They have Quinshon Judkins, one of those top-tier running backs in college football. Obviously had a promising start to his career, had a little bit of an injury there, but hopefully he can be back in full force this season with them as well.
Yeah, and they got Vol for Life Dylan Sampson up there too. So they've got multiple good running backs. They invested in the offensive line this offseason with Spencer Fano in the first round. You bring in a bunch of wide receivers. Like, again, this team they've got talent. I know you traded away Myles Garrett, but you've still got you bring Jared Verse back in that trade. You have Denzel Ward. You have the rookie of the year. I'm blanking on the linebacker. No, the defensive rookie there, Carson Schwessinger.
Oh yeah,
the linebacker. So there's a lot of talent on that Browns team. But again, when you're running out Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson at quarterback, it's probably not going to look very good this season. So those are your quarterback competitions. Kyler Murray has won the starting job in Minnesota. Rejoice Nick Frazier, who when we did like a fantasy draft a few years ago, looking through the pick one quarterback, one running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end for your team this year. And you could pick anybody. There was no rules on this. I picked Joe Burrow as my quarterback. Connor Newt picked Patrick Mahomes. And Nick Frazier, with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson on the board, said, give me Kyler Murray.
I don't care what it took. I was getting Kyler Murray at its finest.
Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth. Nick Frazier wants Kyler Murray.
Give it to me.
Josh Allen. We're good. Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, we're good. Kyler Murray is here.
Our savior.
There you go. Well, Kyler Murray is going to be one of 32 starting quarterbacks this year as he wins the job in Minnesota. And the Titans getting ready for their joint practice out in Santa Clara, about 15 minutes away from starting this up. So we will talk about that on the other side, wrap up the show. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. Finishing up the show on this Tuesday. It's been a fun one. Nick Frazier doing some lip syncing back at the studio.
Fantastic song, Jake.
It is. That's a really good one to end it on, Connor.
Thank you. It's Country Tuesday.
I like it. I gotta say, since Parker and Nick threw the gauntlet down, the bump music has been very good on the show the last few weeks while you guys all compete to see who's the best DJ at the station.
Well, I get a lower percentage of snaps than they do, so
You do.
I have to make it count when I'm on the field.
That is true. Yeah, you take advantage of your reps when you step on the field. So well done by everybody today. It's been fun being out here at Floyd Stadium. Again, big thanks to everybody who's stopped by. Big Joe Dubin, again, Chasing Big Joe coming up right after us here. He stopped by to talk Blue Raider football. Chris Massaro joined us, the athletic director here, and Jackson Lowe, who was a great conversation as he gears up for his redshirt sophomore season here with Middle Tennessee State. Tomorrow, we will not have Corey Curtis in studio. He is en route to the West Coast because he's doing sideline for the Titans preseason game on Thursday. So we will not have him in studio. The plan is for him to call in. So you'll still get your daily dose, your weekly dose of Corey Curtis on the program. Just won't be for the full show like usual as the Titans get ready for their preseason opener. Joint practice about 13 minutes away from starting out there next to the substation. And again, that's the one thing today. There's going to be a lot that comes out of this practice. Clips of one-on-ones. What did Cam Ward do in team drills? What did the defense look like? The number one thing, nobody get hurt. I mean, I'm having flashbacks to the Vikings joint practice a few years ago where Traylon Burks went down with the knee injury, and that was just like, that was a devastating moment, I think, for the Titans fan base because there was a lot of hype around him heading into that season. So just hoping everybody stays healthy. The substation does not inflict its wrath on the Titans in their one game over there or one practice over there in Santa Clara.
Yeah, just keep everything on the don't go all the way to the ground. Just be able to just take your pursuit angle, touch the hip, call it a day. Let's keep everybody upright. You get paid too much money.
Right. This is the first of 3 joint practices gearing up for 3 preseason games. The Niners should know better than anybody that they need to be careful out there. So just hoping that tomorrow at 9 a.m. we're not leading with, well, the substation struck again and 8 players on both teams had to leave early yesterday. Knock on wood that everybody stays healthy. This is one of 4 joint practices going on around the NFL today. Cowboys, Rams, Colts, Patriots, Bucks, Jets. I'd say Bucks Jets probably not super intriguing to me, but the other 2 I think are Colts Patriots, 2 teams that could be playoff contenders in the AFC, and then Cowboys Rams. Rams, of course, are the Super Bowl favorites, and I like the Cowboys. I'll continue to go back to it. I think the Cowboys are going to be pretty good this year.
Really, you're a believer in the America's team?
Yeah, well. Nick, you are our predictions guy. Like,
Sure.
When we do our big, large scale predictions, it's usually on Tuesdays with you. So we'll do that coming up in the next few weeks. We'll do our full NFL predictions. But I'll spoil it right now. I've said it before. I think the Cowboys win the NFC East.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's high praise for Jerry Jones's team.
Hey, I think that team is talented enough. If they don't do it, then it might be time to start cleaning house there.
It's that wide receiver duo, isn't it?
Well, the wide receiver duo, and I think the defense has really improved this year. You're going to get Quinnen Williams for a full season. They've got Kenny Clark that they got back in the Micah Parsons trade. You drafted Malachi Lawrence in the first round. You drafted Caleb Downs in the first round. I think the defense is going to be improved. And, yeah, you look at the offense where you got Dak Prescott, and he's got a loaded group of weapons. I think the Cowboys are going to be good this year. If I'm staking my claim in one big picture NFL prediction this year, it's that I think the Cowboys win the NFC East.
A good percentage of the state of Tennessee just rejoiced because there are a lot of I'd say an older demographic because my dad's a Cowboys fan. I know Connor's mom, Cowboys fan, right?
Half my family is.
So
I'm the lone wolf.
It's okay. I mean, we're all there at that point, right?
I do think there's a dividing line among people who grew up around here. Before the Titans moved here, you kind of had to choose your team, right? And a lot of it I know back in the day was, well, what game's on TV? And a lot of times it was the Cowboys or it was the Steelers, and you get those games. But I do think there's a dividing line of people who grew up with the Titans here that even if your dad was a Cowboys fan, you're going to grow up a Titans fan, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Unless you grew up in my household where I'm just like Paul Kuharski, I know he has a big thing of like fandom needs to be either geographical or handed down. My family would disgust everybody who has that. So football teams among my immediate family, like on my dad's side. My dad's a 49ers fan. His brothers are Vikings and Packers fans. I'm a Titans fan, and my two cousins on that side of the family are Bengals and Falcons fans. So there you go. There is just absolutely no family allegiance in the Lyman clan.
You got all the regions of the United States covered. Look at
Well,
you.
yeah. I mean, my dad's fans teams are the Blackhawks, and I know, sorry, Preds fans. He's a Blackhawks fan, a 49ers fan, a Pirates fan, and a Mavericks fan. He's got all four cardinal directions covered.
Wow. I know when it comes to football, it seems like the NFL Sunday ticket is right up y'all's alley.
Yeah, well, it was fun getting together for like family, like when you get together for Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's like you got a lot of games that different people care about. So you get to enjoy all of them. But yeah, it is strange. The Vikings would be the family team because my family grew up in Minnesota, but we all kind of branched off and did our own thing.
That is pretty neat. I mean, so you have a somewhat of an affinity to Kyler Murray. I'd love to hear it. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. Dustin from Hopkinsville on the text line says, this man just said, wow to your Cowboy take, like he didn't pick Kyler Murray over Josh Allen.
I mean, it's valid. Don't get me wrong, it's valid, but it's always every year. The Dallas Cowboys are like the Tennessee Vols. Sorry to upset Vols fans. This is our year. That's kind of how it feels like for Cowboys fans every year.
Well, right. It's like they haven't been to the NFC Championship since what, 93? That was the last time? That sounds right. So 30 years since they've been in the NFC Championship game. And I'm not going to go far enough to say they're going to do that this year. I think the NFC is loaded this season. You look at the NFC East, I think the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders all could be playoff teams. The NFC North, especially with your boy Kyler starting, all four of those teams could be playoff teams. You've got three in the West. Somebody's got to win the South, but that's – 11 out of the 16 teams that I think you could look at and say that's a playoff team. So who knows? I don't think they're going to be an NFC Championship team, but I do think they win the division.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're better than the Giants for sure. I mean, you look at whatever the Washington Commanders. I mean, for me, I think Jaden Daniels really has to prove himself this year. I mean, if I'm just saying, because like he's been hurt the last couple times along with that, and then you just have to beat the Eagles. And I feel like if the Eagles get off to a rough start, yeah, you might be onto something here, Jake.
Well, and it's tough news for Jaden Daniels when he loses his left tackle for a long time before the season even starts, with Laramie Tunsil now out for a significant amount of time with a torn tricep. So we'll have to do maybe 2 weeks on Tuesday, Nick. We'll do our full large-scale NFL predictions. I feel like that makes sense. The last week of the preseason.
Yeah, I'll make sure not to include the Bengals and the Commanders in the Super Bowl.
That is true. Yeah, that was your pick last year. That did not go well.
I didn't even agree with it, so I apologize to our listeners.
Gentlemen, we will do this again on Friday. It'll be fun. Excited for that. Big thanks to everyone out here at MTSU for having us. It was fun. Thanks to Chris Massaro and everyone who joined us here up at the table. That does it for us. Chase and Big Joe coming up next right here on 102.5 The Game.